those who are here as well. Thank you for being patient. Over to Ms. Muller.
Okay, so let's get there, right? So first, let's unpack some of the definitions and interpretations found in the JBCC. So now I'm just focusing on one part of it. Let's unpack some things, right? I'm sure you've all went through the JBCC document and you saw all of those definitions. There was quite a lot of them there. So let's just look at the first one that we've seen, and that is called an agent. So an agent is appointed by the employer, right? And you will see again under employer, employer has its own definition and its own interpretation when you get to the word employer to deal with specific aspects of the works. And again, the works is not just normal works, they are specific definitions and interpretations to the word works. So now we are looking at agent, right? So it's being split up into understanding employer and the works. And when we look at the definition, employer is again split up with highlighted words there as party or contractor. And on the works, there's more things. So it's contractor, how do you minimize this thing, right? So contractor agreement, contract instructions, free issues, material and goods, and employer. And again, it's going to go on under contractor. There will be more things to understand about the term contractor. I don't want to confuse you. I just want to bring that to your attention to know that you have to understand all the definitions in its totality to actually understand the document. So now, here we have some definitions and interpretations. So if you can open up your JBCC contract, go through these things: agreement, calendar days, certificate of final completion, certificate of practical completion, contract sum, contract value, contractor, employer, free issue, and guarantee for advance payment. On a piece of paper, without looking at your JBCC contract, when the task comes, when I'm going to give you the task, I don't want you to look at the JBCC contract at that point in time. I will just want you to just fill in what you need to do, right? But for now, just have a quick quiz at these definitions, just so that you have some sort of idea, right? I'm going to give you 2 minutes for that. And we're going to head into a small activity. I'm going to give you approximately 3 minutes to do this activity, and then we're going to be moving on.
Generosity, Ms. Muller. Generosity. 3 minutes. You.
Is that too much? Must I make it 30 seconds?
No, I think
They
3
should be
minutes is
moving
good.
fast. Okay. Right,
Ms. Muller,
guys.
sorry, Ms. Muller,
Yes.
1 second. I think maybe
Yes.
before you continue, okay, now you have the words here. There was just a question that came through. Can you maybe just leave the slide on the words? But
Okay.
great, you here.
No, you see, I did that on purpose, where I blocked it out. But I showed them, if they were not paying attention, it was gone. So you have to pay attention to my slides. Right. Now, this is activity. Close your JBCC document. Don't look at it. If you're cheating, you know you're cheating. It's not going to help you in any way. So close that document. And under each of these 10 definitions, I would like you to write a very quick, brief description of what you think the agreement calendar days from 1 to 10 are. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do that. So I'm not asking you for long, big sentences. I just want you to note down the main words and basically a brief description of what you think these definitions mean to you. I'm giving you 3 minutes for that.
Yasmin,
All
so
right.
you've
Yeah.
you've provided 1 to 10 here for them,
Yes.
and they're filling in the answers.
Yes.
What would you advise them from 1 to 10 here that you're looking at? What would you tell them that they should focus on when writing their answers? Is it in principle the answer? Is it verbatim, word for word? What do you think it is they
No,
need to focus when they're writing on?
what they understand about it.
Oh, that's a good
Basically,
way to
what
put
is
it.
their understanding on the word agreement? What is their understanding of calendar days? Like it's not verbatim as per se as the JBCC. It's basically their knowledge on it, how they view the word, the importance of the word, that sort of thing. Because
Great.
remember, guys, the JBCC is going to be an open document, open book paper, correct? So you will have those terms and definitions in front of you. But the point of this exercise is not writing down for word. It's more of your understanding of the word. Because, like I said here, understanding and comprehension gives you informed decision making, and that is what we need to do. We need to be able to understand how do we use these terms in everyday situations, in everyday scenarios. So I'm bringing up the word scenarios because from past year papers, you get a lot of scenario questions. So if you don't understand your question and you don't understand the scenario, how are you going to answer it? So to understand, basically to understand your JBCC, you have to understand your definition. So that's why I want this exercise is all about you and your understanding on all of these 10 definitions. Look, there's a hell of a lot of definitions. I just picked out 10 random ones just for you to just get cracking. All right. So for those of you who might not have the JBCC in front of you at this moment in time, I have produced your answers here. You can take a snapshot of this if you like, or you can take a picture of it, or if you have it in your document, then you don't need to do either. It's just for those people who don't have it in front of them. So agreement is basically, it's a document, right? Or a verbal, you can get a verbal or you can get a written, but in most cases, it's going to be a written agreement between two parties. So in this case, it's the employer to deal with a specific item, and that is the works. Then you get calendar days, and you also know something as work days. So you have 24 hours. So your calendar days, again, is an important point here because it comes out a lot in payment certificates. So where you have to calculate a certain amount of calendar days. So this includes Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays. So you needed to remember these things when you are actually going to be doing any payment certificate questions, for example, or any other type of scenarios. Then you get certificate of final completion, practical completion, your contract sum. Again, this contract sum pops up a lot in payment certificates, contract value, your contractor, we all know who's the contractors, the employer, free issue, guarantee for advance payment. Okay, so I'm going to move on now. Let's go. So summary of a contract law. I'm sure you guys have all went through this a million times by now, or you should have. If you haven't, I'm just going to be doing a quick summary and let's get into it, right? So a contract law binds agreements and transactions so that promises are kept, because in many cases, people will always do what is in their own best interest. So a contract is there in place to keep it written, to keep clauses in to protect all parties, not only specific people when they wish to willy-nilly change something. So it's also there to help you with disputes and to find a resolution. It is based on clarity, on precision, and understanding of legal principles. So we're starting off contract law. Right. So once your project is completed, right, that is now when we are going, your plans have been submitted to municipality, you're so excited, it's done for approval, you had a small party, whatever, then you go on to tendering out. If it's a big project, you're going to go out, and for the scenario, we assuming it's a massive project, designing a new hospital or something, so it's quite a couple of good billions involved. So we're going to send out our tender documents out to the different contractors, and then an employer is going to probably choose which contractor he wants to go with, and that is when the contractor is then getting to be appointed, and at our point of construction, that is where our JBCC comes in. So when the project reaches your construction phase, it is at this point in which the contractor between the employer and the contractor comes into effect. Right. So you get a variety of contracts, not only one specific one as JBCC, but for this instance, we are focusing on this. You get construction, you get client architect agreement, you get a PROXA, but for now we are doing the JBCC, and even under the JBCC, we get different types of contracts. We get the minor works agreement, and for today's instance, we are focusing on the principal building agreement, right, the PPE. Why? Why are we using the JBCC? Because the JBCC provides a clear framework for managing the project construction, which reduces the risks of disputes and misunderstandings between the parties. So the JBCC here is more focused on the whole construction phase of the contract, and it also allows for the project to be completed timeously, which we know is a major issue, that time is money. So it allows for the project to be completed timeously and within budget, as the contract outlines the timeline and the cost of the project. So the JBCC is very clear on those points. So here's a brief diagram. Right, so the architectural professional, you as architect, you have a lot of responsibility. You have a responsibility to the employer first, because your employer is, in most cases, your client. Then you have a responsibility to the rest of the professional team, your civil engineers, your structural engineers, mechanical, electrical, all the professional team. And you also have a responsibility with the contractor. And the professional team also has a link with the contractor as well at the time when they have to issue site instructions or give any instructions to the contractor, basically with a QS or going to site for supervision. So there's a whole link and a whole web going on. So when the project reaches construction phase, the architectural profession encounter other parties that will be included in this project. These parties include, amongst others, the employer, contractor, and your professional team. So what is a contract? These are little notes you should be taking down. What is a contract? What is the purpose of a contract? And what makes a contract valid? Right? What is a contract? What is the purpose of a contract? And what makes a contract valid? A contract is the world, okay? You get the realm, I'm saying the world, where clarity, precision, understanding of legal principles are vital. A contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more parties, meaning it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, right, until infinity, right? So a contract is a legal binding agreement between two or more parties outlining their rights and obligations regarding a particular transaction or arrangement.
Yasmin, you still there?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, Yasmin, there seems to be some sort of issue on the sharing. Can you stop sharing and resharing? There seems to be something not coming through on the screen.
From where? From which screen was it from?
No, I'm saying we can't see your screen properly. Can you stop sharing and resharing?
Okay, let's see again.
Start resharing again. Thank you very much, Bismillah. Sorry about that.
Oh,
Didn't mean to interrupt your flow there.
no, it's fine. Let's see.
Okay, let's see if we can make it larger again because you're still looking at a very small screen.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna get to that point and then.
Okay, fantastic.
Can you see?
It's not large again.
It's large.
No, I think you need to just share your entire window frame. After you've made it into presentation mode. So whilst Usmana is getting that ready, just to assist on the thinking very quickly to everyone, I hope that you do pay attention to what Usmana is saying when it comes to the contracts. And if you can see where she's going very methodically through the JBCC and then trying to question you and ask you, what is a contract? That means we still can only see it very small, but try making it a bit larger and see if it works out.
I'm gonna try doing this. Wait. Can you see this?
I think we can still see it. It's fine if it's not for presentation mode. But I think we can go for it.
Okay,
I think
sorry.
it's fine. At least on my side, I can see it this way.
Okay.
Great. You're welcome
All
to go
right.
for it.
Okay. So, okay. What is a contract?
Mr. Mullah, before you start,
yes.
I just want to address the candidates. I see there are a whole lot of hands up. As we outlined that at the end of your presentation, they will then be allowed to ask questions. We will then allow them access to the mic for them to be able to ask questions. For now, I think we need to document the questions. At the end of the session, we will then give them an opportunity to ask those questions.
Yes. Why I want to do that because I want to get through this, right? I want everybody to get the information that they need to get the information, because if I'm going to get sidetracked, time is going to go and I might not be able to present the work. And another thing, maybe their question will be answered later on as well. Like, you know, when I'm presenting, then the question, well and good, it was answered. If it hasn't been answered, I will definitely give a time at the end for all candidates to present the questions, and then we will choose who we're going to be who will get the questions answered, because obviously there's like I think 300 people on here. So but if there is any other questions that somebody has really no idea about and they really want an answer to, they're welcome to email Sakap, and Sakap will forward me the questions and I will then respond to you if that is fine as well.
Ms. Muna, Mr. Moody, I don't think that's exactly the issue, though, very quickly. I think all of us as panelists can see the screen properly. It's all of the candidates who cannot see the screen anymore. That's what the majority of those questions are coming through saying. So I can see your screen, but they can't see the screen. Mr. Moody, I think that's a technical issue. Something has swapped on the side of whoever is in charge of the admin there. So we'll continue. And Sakab will try to assist to adjust it in the background because we don't want to adjust or delay the time anymore. By the way, just as an understand your canvas, let me just put my camera on very quickly. I'm assuming that it might slightly adjust some of your screen settings on the candidate side. Please ensure that you are following what's in the guide. All the stuff that's in the presentation is really just an extract from the guide. The guide is already condensed to tell you and give you direction on what you should be focusing on in this webinar. Everything that's on the slide is exactly what's in the guide. The slide is just so that you can not have to press zoom in on the guide and read it. I think, secondly, in addition to that as well, whatever Yasmin is going to be talking about in the times to come, if you look at the part where it says paper 2 and you continue through all of it, you'll see that a lot of the information she's telling you is really just an extract from there, so you can follow it quite closely. Thanks, Yasmin. Sorry, over to you. Guys, I know there's the issue. We're sorting it out in the background. Thank you, Yasmin. Please continue.
Is it an issue with all candidates or just some? Because
it seems like all of them. Seems like all of them.
And I think I'll just pause because I don't want to continue, and because it needs to like get to them, you know.
Let's just have a check, Mr. Moodley. How do you feel about it?
See the screen. I can see the screen. What seems to be the challenge?
It's not us. We all as panelists and on the admin side can see it. All of the candidates cannot see it. That's what the majority of the mails are saying there. in the Q&A.
Just check.
Okay, they say it's good now. I think it's been adjusted. Let me put my camera off and see if it's still working. I think maybe it possibly is. So it still seems to be good now. Okay, cool. Let's go for it. Thanks for your patience, guys. Keep going, Yasmin.
Okay, I'm just going to go back one up, right? So what is a contract? What is the purpose of a contract? And what makes a contract valid? So a contract basically is the world where clarity, precision, and understanding of legal principles are vital. A contract is a legally binding agreement between two or more parties outlining their rights and obligations regarding a particular transaction or arrangement. What is the purpose of a contract? The purpose of a contract is to establish a legally enforceable agreement between parties defining their rights, duties, and expectations regarding a specific transaction or arrangement for the duration of the contract. What makes a contract valid? Right. So you should pay attention to what makes a contract valid. Consensus. There has to be an offer made and acceptance, and both parties are in agreement of the contract. Both parties must be of legal age and of sound mind, so there must be contractual capacity for that. It should be legal in terms of the law. So legality is another point what makes a contract valid. Can it be carried out? Is it achievable? Is it possible? So this possibility is another point. And formalities, is it a written contract or is it a verbal contract? And remember, people, something written is always more valid and holds more, how can I say, more strength. If I make an agreement with, for example, Akil, I'm going to be going to, overseas for a holiday. I'm going to give you my money to book my tickets. Just pay for it now, and then I will give you my money tomorrow. That is a verbal arrangement and a verbal contract. Tomorrow, if I don't pay for him, what is it going to stop me from taking that flight and going off into another country and disappearing forever? Nothing. But a written contract will hold you down. So a written contract is always very, very, very important. So meeting these criteria helps ensure that a contract is valid and legally enforceable. And how does a counter offer come into effect? So you make an offer. I made an offer for, what can I say? A nice diamond ring. Okay, I'm a girl, so I want diamond ring from a jewelry store. They have it on offer for 20,000 rands. I will go into that store and being me, I would like to bargain with them. And I will say, no, I would like to have it for 15,000 rand. What is the best offer you can give me? Then they'll tell me, no, it's fine. We'll sell it to you for 17,000 rand. So the initial one was 20,000. I made an offer of 15. And then they said 17, and I agree on 17. So that's how a counter offer works. So an offer is made, another offer is proposed, and then you agree on something. So however, if this does not occur, then a party provides an alternative to the offer for the initiator to consider with the counter offer. Okay, so I said that. Okay, once a counter offer is accepted, the previous offer is null and void. So the last offer made and accepted, that is the offer you are going to be stuck with. What are laws of agency? What is cession? What are some remedies? And what is law of delicate? Laws of agency. Contracts are often resemble a complex board game with various players taking on different roles. The laws of agencies act as a rule book specifying who the players are and what moves they can make and how they interact. It's similar to like understanding the rules of a board game like chess or Ludo or Scrabble or something like that, where each player's role is well defined. A contractor, architect, or engineer, for example, can take on a role other than the title during the construction project. It is typical for architects to take on the role of principal agent in a construction project, whose role is to administer a contract. What is session? Consider a race, like a relay race, right? Where the one runner will pass the baton on to the next runner. In the world of contract, session is similar to that. It's smoothly transferring the baton of responsibility from one party to another. So it ensures smoothness of the transition of the contract, right? Or the project. It ensures that the contract's momentum continues seamlessly, much like a relay team maintaining its speed during the handover. In the event of a changeover from one professional to the next, which is it is very, very common, where contractors will change. Most likely contractors will change. So this contract session is very, very important. Session comes from the word to cede, allows the termination of responsibility from one party to another. This often happens when professionals either wish to terminate their contracts to move on to other projects, or in the case where there are irrecoverable differences between various parties involved in contract, leading to one deciding to leave. I want you guys here just to take a moment and just to think back. Think about a project that you've been involved in or you heard about where the word session was actually used, and now you can put the word session to that scenario you have been in a place of, right? So I want you to link these terms to things that you have experienced, or even if you haven't experienced it, of people who have experienced it and you've heard the stories. So what are some remedies? Think of a contract as a story with possible plot twists, right? When something goes skew or wary in the narrative, the remedy is always to have that contract moving, have the project moving, and to meet our target audience. They like plot twist. They like the plot twist that keeps the story engaging, offering different ways to address conflicts and uncertainties. Imagine contracts or laws of dialogue. Imagine contracts as a tightrope walking, where parties carefully balance their interests. However, sometimes they may stumble, resulting in harm. And when we meaning resulting in harm, we meaning resulting in harm to another party. The laws of dialogue all act as a safety net between the tightrope, providing recourse when parties fall. It's like ensuring that even in the high wire act of contracts, there is a safety mechanism to address unexpected mishaps. So the contract is there to protect all parties. So if one party harms another party, maybe not intentionally, maybe it's unintentionally, but it is there to resolve that issues. So tell me, take notes of these things. How many people are required to participate in a contract for it to become a binding agreement? So in most cases, like I told you, it's two parties that are required. What does the following have in common? So I have a list of just definitions. What do these definitions all have in common? And the similarity between all of them is all of these actions must be conducted in writing. What is the definition of dispute in terms of a contract? So dispute is basically disagreements between parties in a contract. This occurs when one party fails to fulfill the obligation under the contract or when the parties disagree over the meaning of a contractual term, obligations, or rights outlined in a contractual arrangement. What kind of duty does a contractor have to fulfill towards an employer, irrespective of the treatment between the two parties? So the contractor can be swearing the employer left, right, and center, but that has no reason on him not doing his job and fulfilling the contract. That's just an example. Or the employer can be buying the contractor up with treats to the restaurant, but that should not have any difference in him paying the contractor when time is to be paid. So that is what it a scenario of it. So a contractor has a legal obligation stemming from the contractual obligation to fulfill their duties towards an employer, irrespective of the treatment between the two parties. This encompasses the delictal duty to complete the work or provide the services outlined in the contract to the agreed upon standards within the specified time frame and for the agreed upon compensation. In a JBCC contract, which three parties are primarily involved in the main interaction. So which are the main parties do you have normally, right? It's your employer, the principal agent, and in most cases, the principal agent is your architectural profession and the contractor. So what ensures the validity of a contract? Several criteria must be fulfilled. What are they? And consensus, contractual capacity, legality, possibility, and formalities. All right, now we're going on to activity 2. So get your pens and papers ready. I'm gonna not give you a lot of time for this, but I'll try and maybe about 7 minutes or 5 minutes. I think 5 minutes. So write very, very quick. Even if it's shorthand, that is fine as well, as long as you know what you are saying and we're getting the point across, right? So question 2, what is a contract? What is the purpose of a contract? And what makes a contract valid? 2.2, what does the following have in common? And there's a list there. I'm sure you guys can see it. And which of the following is not a requirement that must be met for a contract to give rise to legal obligation? And I've got a list there for you to complete. So I think 5 minutes or so. Or is 5 minutes too much? Okay. I mean,
I think 5 minutes might be a bit strong on time because we are now at 10:52. So I think we probably give them maybe about 3 minutes. For those of you who want to focus while writing, you're welcome to focus and maybe just put us on mute very quickly. But for the time that we'll have that small pause and break, I'm going to share some, let's say, psychological ideas to help you deal with this paper. Yasmin, we'll check. You stop me, Yasmin, and tell me when to shut up. It's 10:52 now, so I think 10:55 you're going to tell me you're going to resume. Is that okay, Yasmin?
Okay,
cool?
That's fine.
Oh,
yes, that's perfect.
Great. Okay, so for those of you who are really focusing and you're like, sit on this, you can just put me on mute. But I just want to bring to your attention that I know there's a lot of people that are in this call. There are those of you who have about 10 to 20 years experience, some 30 to 40 years of experience, and you might not have written an exam for a long time. And so it's quite a troubling endeavor for you to write this after so long. There's some of you here as well that only have about 2 years of experience, so 3. And for yourself, maybe it's not so troubling to write an exam because you've been kind of recent, or maybe you forgot everything you've done before, I don't know. But the difference between this and a university exam is that this is going to draw on a lot of knowledge you have been delving with for a long time. So the fear that you have, to some degree, it might be a little bit irrational. And so we need to figure out ways to overcome that irrationality. We are looking here particularly at building confidence. And if you do the questions and if you do past papers, You're going to build up your confidence. You are going to look at yourself and realize that you know more than you thought you knew. And if you take the time to really look at the guide and try to marry the knowledge you have in your head to the guide and all of the information that you've been looking at, you start to build a silent confidence that you'll take into the exam. This exam is not about how many years of experience you have only, although experience helps. Confidence is a major builder in the exam. Confidence because you've done past papers, confidence because you have some understanding of industry knowledge, confidence because you've attended the webinars, and confidence because you might have watched some YouTube videos, or you might have been in a group of people that are helping you, or you might have been discussing with a close friend what's in this paper, or you know people that have passed and that are talking to you. All those things build confidence. Building confidence is more important than you saying I have 30 to 40 years experience, or 10 years experience, or 2. So you need to be confident in the information you understand. Yasmin, I think it's time for me to keep quiet, or I still got a minute. There we go. I think it's time. Over to you, Yasmin. Supposed to stop me, Yasmin?
I say you're on the, yeah.
Oh,
I'm
on
just
point.
gonna go back to
Okay.
sharing. Yeah.
Great, fantastic.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Just confirming.
Beautiful, can see it, yes.
All right. Okay, guys, here's the answers. I'm not going to go through the answers with you, so you can either take a screenshot or a photo of it, or you know it. So either options is great. So you can just take a quick snap of it. And then moving on. Okay, let's move on. Next, scenario approach. Okay, so you know, during from the time I started, I gave you little stories of things. So those are all little scenarios. So how do we approach a scenario? So you get a live scenario that is actually happening in your practice with a contractor and stuff. And now when we're going to get into the exam, you get a scenario written down, and you have to now imagine the scenario is playing out. So when you're reading the questions, the scenario type questions specifically, you have to put yourself in that story mode, and you need to understand the story that is happening. And once you understand the story that is happening, all the puzzle pieces will start fitting into place. So scenarios. Who did it, right? So the scenario will have, in most cases in an exam type of question, somebody has done something to somebody, right? Not everything is smoothly, otherwise, well, there's not going to be a question then. So somebody has done some sort of harm to someone. And like we said, the three main people in a JBCC contract is the employer, is a principal agent, who's most likely the architectural profession, and the contractor. But the JBCC is between the employer and the contractor. That is the agreement between the two. The principal agent is just there to facilitate the contract, right? So contract and scenario questions can be daunting for candidates writing the PPE, especially those who feel that they might have little or no construction and on-site experience. The diagram indicates an approach to take on when thinking about a scenario, looking at cases when the employer has caused a breach indicated by a cross, or when the employer is able to claim his rights, most likely from the contractor, and what does the JBCC say about each? So remember, the JBCC is there to protect the employer and to protect the contractor and all those parties that are legally binded to the JBCC contract. So some of the terms here are understanding the premise. The foundations of any contract, including those governed by the JBCC, revolves around the concept of rights and responsibilities. Each party involved in the contract possesses certain rights, entitlements, and corresponding responsibilities. Identifying the scenario. Start with clearly outlining the scenario or incident that has now occurred within the context of the contract. This could involve a breach of contract, a dispute over terms, or any other contractual issue. Analyze of rights. Determine whose rights have been violated as a result of this situation. Basically, who has been harmed in this scenario. This could include the rights of the employer, client, the contractor, the subcontractors, or any other involved parties as outlined in the contract documents. Assessing responsibilities. Identify whose responsibility it is to rectify the situation or address the issue at hand. Responsibilities may vary on the nature of the contract, the specific terms and conditions outlined within it, as well as any applicable laws or regulations. So the scenario approach, you have the base approach. The following is a method which can be used to assist one in breaking down the scenario questions to best produce a robust and well-reasoned answer for referencing. The more information on the base method. So now we're going to ask ourselves questions. What happened? Whose rights were violated? And whose responsibility is it to fix it? So what happened? Clearly articulate, pull out the details of the incident and the situation that has arisen from the contractual framework. So another idea is to highlight that or to underline it, like all the important details from your scenario. So if those things will stand out to you. Whose rights were violated? Try and identify who has been harmed in the story. Whose responsibility is it to fix it? Who has to make amends in terms of the contract? Who needs to fulfill their responsibility to it in order to take corrective action? Draw on your sources. So now we're coming back to our brain, common sense, experience, and the contract. So a combination of all three will make you a very powerful person when it comes to understanding and facing scenarios in a contract. Common sense actually comes from experience as well because it works hand in hand, right? So common sense, all right, let's break it down. When you're faced with a tricky situation, you've got three powerful tools at your disposal: common sense, experience, and the nitty-gritty details of the contract, like the JBCC. First off, trust your gut, trust your instinct, think logically, use your practical smarts, and consider the obvious stuff. Imagine you sorting through a messy problem with a clear head. That's common sense of work. And just my advice, you don't have to take it, but don't delve too much into something. Rather, try and take out the noise, if I can put it to you that way. Try and have a clear mind and think logically about the situation in the most simplest of forms, and then tackle the question. Because sometimes when you add more and more and more and what and what and what, your whole brain is going to go like in spaghetti, right? So we need to have a clear mind when we are working with the contract. Next, think back to your own experiences. Remember those times you've dealt with similar issues before? Use those lessons to guide you. And don't forget to chat with others who've been through the same. Their insights can be golden. So use your own experiences, use the stories of people who you've heard the stories about, because we all know what happens in our practices. We'll say, oh, this person did that, and that person did that, and did you hear about that and that? Now, all of that information, you're going to be using this now, because now it's going to fit into your experience when you are proposed with a scenario. Last but not least, dive into the contract. Look closely at what it says. It's like a roadmap for navigating and the situation. Pay attention to the rules and the guidelines laid out there. They will help you stay on track. And by blending these three sources of wisdom, your instincts, your past know-how, and the fine print of the contract, You'll be armed with everything you need to do and need to know in order to tackle the problem head on. Right. According to the contract, so this is how we're going to reference, right? So there's a scenario, and this is how we'll do it. An example of this. So according to the what contract, for example, the JBCC, in clause, and you'll put in that clause, in the event of a scenario, the role player, whoever it is, the employer, the contractor whose rights have been violated, must have the event remedied by, and you can then list how it is to be remedied. This is how it will be done, and you can explain how it's going to be done. For example, extension of time or penalties or whatever. Therefore, in conclusion, and then you will conclude it. So it's basically like almost writing a summary in form of this contract. So it's always very, very, very important to always get the full picture, not half, not he said, she said, to get the full picture and to be critical about the full picture, right? We are not here to be biased. When we get a contract, we have to stick to the whose right it is, not to be biased on one to the other. That is not our goal or our objective. So we need to get the full picture. Start by understanding what is going down, break down the scenario into small parts so that you can tackle it effectively. Identify the problem, figure out what the main issues are, and try and solve the main issues. That is your job. We are not problem makers, we are problem solvers. So our main issue here is to identify the problem and solve it. By thinking critically, make your point clear, back yourself up. So you have to have your facts. You can't just say, give the contractor extension of time. Why are you giving the contractor extension of time? Is he entitled to the extension of time? So you need to back yourself up. And when you're backing up yourself, you need to refer to the clauses in the contract, not your own ideas. It is referring to your contract, how you back yourself up. Remember, there's a legal document. And always consider the other options. So try and put your shoes in the other person's position. Think about what they are going to say to you. If there's an argument, it's always going to be one said something and then the other one is going to say something. So you need to think ahead and always be ready to respond with points and show why you think yours is better. And again, when we are going to be doing this, we're always going to be making reference to clauses in the JBCC. Right, different type of scenarios you might get, right? These are just some of them. I'm sure there's many, many more, but these are just some we listed. Late payment, contractor not completing work on time. This is very, very often in actual practice. Contractor not arriving to site. Extenuation circumstances, client unhappy with the quality of the work, the wrong taps were put inside all the client's bathrooms. Now, what are you going to do about it? Or SABS approved bricks were not used. What are you going to do about it? Plans not submitted to council in breach of municipal code. Site has underlying rock conditions, providing it to be difficult. You didn't know that there was a hell of a lot of rocks under the site. Nobody went and dug before the ground broke. So now there's an added expense to the contractor. What are we going to do? How is that going to feature up in his initial contract sum? Terrain not suitable for building, snags picked up on site, intellectual duty, defects, and liabilities. So here's a scenario example. The same example is in your guide. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I'm just going to go through it. So for example, in terms of the JBCC Principal Building Agreement, the principal contractor is entitled to a revision of the date to practical completion in certain circumstances, and is also entitled to adjustment of the contract sum. What would the position be with regards to the above in the following 4 circumstances? And here is questions. Assume the contractor has fully complied with the requirements for making such claims. Give full reasons for your answers. So 1, work has been stopped for 4 working days. Remember I said something different between calendar days and working days? So see how working days now picks up. So work has been stopped for 4 working days by heavy rains, which the principal agent considers not to be unusual for this time of year. And well, 5 marks was allocated for this type of question. Work on the critical part of the program is delayed because the contractor did not receive steel bending schedules from the structural engineer. The engineer's response was that the contractor did not provide him with the program or request for the supply of information. So here is B is he said, she said kind of thing, right? The contractor said, I never received the steel bending schedule. And the engineer said, but it was your responsibility to provide me with the program or to request for the information. Again, there's a he said, she said scenario there. A nominated subcontractor C. A nominated subcontractor delays the progress of the works because the timber built-in units which he manufactured in his factory were destroyed by a fire at his factory and had to be remanufactured. So it was something beyond the subcontractor's control. He had it done and a fire broke out and all his work is all gone. So now what happens in this case? D, work is delayed for 7 days because the employer did not timelessly pay local authority for a water connection for the supply of water to the works. So there was no water for the works. So the contractor didn't do anything about it. So now let's go into referring with the JBCC. So for the first one, the contractor is entitled to a revision of the date of practical completion without adjustment of the contract value in terms of, and there's a clause 23.1.1. The fact that, now this is important as well, the fact that the principal agent considered the rain not to be unusual is irrelevant because what the principal agent brain says and what the JBCC contract says, the JBCC contract will always take precedence over any other person's opinion. So your opinions here does not matter unless you are backing it up with a clause. The contractor is entitled to delays caused by the inclement weather, whether or not it's exceptionally inclement weather. So he's allowed that. As per clause 23.2.5, entitles the contractor to a revision of the date for practical completion for a delay caused by failure to issue or the late issue of contract instruction following a request from the contractor. However, if the contractor does not request such instruction, which was the case, he didn't provide a program, nor did he provide a request, he will not be entitled to his claim. A program for the supply of information would be considered to be a request of information. And that is why in this question, it was there that the engineer said the contractor did not give him a program because if he had, then only the contractor is entitled to the delay claim. The delay, the C, the delay was not caused by any default of a subcontractor, but by an event beyond his control in terms of clause 23.1.6. He will be entitled to a revision of the date for practical completion without an adjustment of the contract value. And the last one, let me just go through the question again. Work is delayed for 7 days because the employer did not timelessly pay local authority for water connection for the supply of water to the works. It is the obligation of the contractor, not the employer, to arrange for water connection for the works, according to 12.2.15, including paying thereof, and consequently, the contractor is not entitled to a revision of the rate for the date for practical completion. The position is different under the minor works agreement, where the employer may be required to arrange for water connection. But because we are doing the JBCC principal building agreement, he is not entitled to it. Okay, activity 3. Mr. Khan, how much time can I allocate here?
Good question, Yasmin. I think the time we are looking at now 11:13. So you have roughly about 45 minutes to continue and also do the payment certificate. So how do you think you might need to adjust on your time? I would generally say about 2 minutes at most.
Okay, guys, I want you to take a picture of this, right? I'm gonna give you 5 minutes because there's quite a lot in here. Okay, let's go 3 minutes, right? I'm gonna give you 3 minutes, take a picture of this and quickly shorthand. Write down your scenarios. You don't have to refer to the JBCC for now, but just write down what you think the scenario is and how it can be rectified or remedied. And then once the session is over, when you have time, you can then start going and referring to your JBCC clause. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. At 11:17, we will move on.
Okay, cool. So whilst you are there, Ms. Minna, you're going to stop me on the talking again. Again, if you guys want to focus and do it, you're welcome to put us on mute so that you can focus on the question, but a little bit more advice to help you cope with this stressful time. Yasmin, again, you stop me, right? It's 11:15 on my side. Okay, cool. Thanks, Yasmin. Thanks, Ms. Mullah. So for a lot of you that are looking to all this information and you're like, wow, that's pretty overwhelming. In my view, as was mentioned in the slides earlier, you have common sense, which maybe is not that common, but you definitely have some experience and you would have heard conversations going around. You should draw on what you think is logical and rational that you should be able to do in a JBCC scenario. But let's say you're looking at a question, because this is you in the paper now, right? You see this question three coming up, and you're like, yo, what is going on here? What you have to do is look at the scenario. Remember, you have all the knowledge you need to do to tackle it. Even if you haven't studied enough, you do have a very good understanding of how the construction process works. And all the JBCC contract is doing is it's taking the construction process and writing it as a document. And it's putting in some rules so that we don't harm each other or we aren't harmful to each other. So look at a question like this and see how does that fit into the construction process. Illustrate in your mind or on paper, because a lot of us love to draw. Draw it out and see what you think the process is. And once you have that process and you can slot in where does this particular event happen in the process, then look at the keywords and highlight those keywords and say, in this particular part, this person had done this, this falls into the specific duration. Another person has committed this act and it falls into the latter part. Understand that quite well because it will be able to help you answer these questions. When it comes to the paper and you don't remember the things that you have studied or that you feel you are confident or you once were confident on, give yourself a few moments. Just draw out the entire construction process and follow what I said. Draw it out for yourself. You know, there's a tender awarded, then there's site handover, blah, 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 blah. Look at the scenario and see if you can just extract information from that to put in the diagram. And then move on. Go to another part of the question. And when you come back, thanks, Yasmin, Ms. Mullah.
Time is up.
Cool. When you come back, you assist yourself. Great, let's go for it.
Okay, let's continue. Right, I'm not going to go through all of this here because of time limitations. You can take a quick snapshot and you can see how the answer was correct answer. But I really, really encourage you guys not to look at the answers until you have yourself done the scenarios to the best of your ability and to the best of your capacity and capability. Do it by yourself and then only refer to these answers, okay? So you can take a quick snapshot of this. Here's your answers. 3.1, 1, 2, 3, 3.2, 3.3, 4.1, 3.4.1, 3, 4. Well, let me just go back here. You can just take a picture. 3.4.2. Okay, next. Okay, so now we're heading into the payment certificate. Payment certificate is the last thing I'm going to be doing with you guys, and then we're going to go on to questions if you have any, and then I will be handing over to Mr. Gutierrez. So let's get going. Payment certificate, clause number 25. If you guys want, if you have a payment certificate with you guys, a filled out one, a blank one, it doesn't matter. Take it out, have a look at it. Payment certificate and a recovery statement, but in today's session, we are focusing on the payment certificates. And let's go through it. Okay, so clause 25 of the JBCC contract documents. It's critical section that deals with payments within the construction projects. It outlines the procedures and requirements for processing payments to the contractor during the course of the project. We will delve deeper into the specifics of the clause 25, focusing on payment certificates, a crucial component of the payment process. What does a payment certificate look like? The below is a standard example of what a payment certificate format looks like. Note that there is a variation between a principal building agreement version and the minor works agreement. So there is a link here, and it's in your guide that Mr. Khan has already spoken about. You can always click on that, and it will take you to a payment certificate picture. But I'm sure you guys all have something. But if you don't, I'm just gonna zoom in here. So this is what a payment certificate looks like. It's made up of a body, of an introduction, a body, and I'm going to just say a conclusion, just so that you have some sort of idea. It has terms and terminologies like certificates, interim or final. It got employers' details, contractors' details, work site. It got something called valuation date, issue date, payment due date, and contract sum A, B, contract value, C, current valuation, and D, current certification. And it's got a whole lot, a list from 1 to 17 here of information. And then we have our body at the end. So that is basically what a payment certificate looks like. Okay, so let's learn how to read a payment certificate. I really am hoping you guys all know how to read a payment certificate, because this is just a brief summary. You should have studied this. If you haven't, you still have time. So let's go through it. Payment certificates play a vital role in documenting and verifying the amounts payable to the contractor for work done, variations, and other associated costs. Therefore, as stated in clause 25.3, the certificate must contain all the data necessary for the accurate documentation of the project costs. Payment certificates follow a standard template, as can be found in the below image, with the header, body, and footer. Okay, the header contains a certificate and project information, such as the certificate number, employer, the contractor, as well as the site of works worked on. This makes sense, as it is easy to identify the project worked on and can be easily retrieved for filing purposes. We then have the body. Right, so the body is where the main crux is, and it looks like a lot, but it is not a lot once you get used to it. We then have the body, which contains information in the form of columns, which cover financial data with timelines, such as payment dates and amounts certified for payment. This is where the most of the calculations occur. It is important to take note of where VAT is included. So remember, you have to also now think about your VAT and where is VAT included. Finally, the footer includes information about the status of a project and the final official verification of the authenticity of the document, the signature of the principal agent. So this is an important section. It looks like a small section, but it is vital. So here you're going to have the name and the address of the principal agent's practice, right? And here you can have the signature of the principal agent. And here you're going to have a date. This date is very important, and I'll go through it with you why it is important. How to complete a payment certificate. Before we get tackling the completion of payment certificate, we have to understand what it contains based in the JBCC. It is an explanation of all the content within it, as stated above, can be found in clause 25 of the JBCC PPE. However, an intuitive understanding will also aid in understanding how to read and use these documents. From looking at the construction process in the previous chapter, we are aware that almost every step in the process can be traced to a clause within the JBCC. Clause 25 describes the payment certificate as an act of financial record of the construction process. All amounts are benchmarked and made with reference to the contract sum. So remember, the contract sum now is your tender. What was submitted as your tender amount, that is now your contract sum. Or the initial expected amount for the project. What was that initial amount? That is your fixed amount that is going to be placed in your payment certificate. Then the payment certificate thus documents where the initial expected amount for the project was, how far the project has progressed relating to it, what events are occurring, and what are the financial implications on it. For example, you are building your new home, the client is building their new home, and you initially had just some simple China-made basins put in. And other clients said no, they want Cobra taps put in. There is a financial implication there from what the contractor has initially budgeted for, and that will then now make changes to your payment certificate. This tracing of monetary flows in a project from employer to contractor and vice versa keeps a clear and accurate record of changes in the construction project and how this may impact the initial expected amount together with projected timelines. So also things like site instructions from the professional team, that all will affect the contract value as well. An important note to take is that time and money is incredibly linked, right? Excuse me 1 minute. Okay. Where an adjustment may be made due to a lack of resources, funds, or activity on a party's side may result in either financial expenses or a delay in timelines. The most important timelines often referred to is the date of practical completion and site handover. These two are important and should be monitored closely with respect to project progress. So we're going to have our program, and that's how we track our progress on site. The best way to keep track of the above data, which has monetary and time-based consequences, is by recording them in a legible format. In finance, it is common practice to use the setup of rows and columns to easily locate, insert, and retrieve project data. The following discusses the columns set up in payment certificate to do the above. As an important note is that time and money is linked, right? So if something is added extra, there's going to be more time put in. If something is taken out from doing in the contract, there is less time. So where there's an adjustment made due to lack of resources or funds, oh, sorry, this is a repeat of that. You have to always know when you are doing when a site instruction is going to be issued, or you are telling the contractor, informing him about something, there's always going to be linked to time and money. Right? Now let's get into the body. Okay, before I get into this, I just want to go up here. Right. I want you to look at that, right? When we get a scenario or a question, I'm gonna make this a bit bigger. Right. You're gonna get a story. Most likely it's a story. And in that story is this scenario, and in that scenario there are words, and you have to now highlight and take out the words that we think are critical to certain portions. So for example, in the scenario, if they say payment certificate number 5 was issued for valuation, then you know, okay, this is certificate number, and you could put in 5. They say this is an interim or a final. It will be stated in a story format. So then you just put in there, simple, interim, final. Who is the employer? Again, this data comes out of your story. Who is the contractor? Again, the data comes out of your story. What is the work? Is it a new build hospital? Is it additions and alterations to a granny cottage? What is the works? And the site, where is this located? Right? Right. Column A, the contract sum. So remember what I said, that your tender amount, that initial tender amount is your contract sum, right? So whatever that initial amount was, that is your contract sum, and that value will be put in under contract sum. You get something called valuation date. This is the date that the QS went to site, supposedly checked what the contractor has done on site, and made a note of it, and then created the description for the payment certificate for that particular day, right? On the day that he issued that certificate, that date, and your date at the right at the bottom of the payment certificate. Let me go here. This date here. Oh, sorry, my mistake. It's not that, it's the next one. Okay, let me get here. Issue date. The issue date will also be placed in your story. So what date did the QS issue it to the principal agent? That date is going to put there. And payment due date. This date is not going to be given to you most likely. It's something you will have to work out. So remember, you have to know now, is it going to be calendar days, or is it going to be work days? How long period of time do we have from the time we receive it from the QS of issue to doing a payment due date? What is the time frame? So according to the JBCC guide, the completion and payment, the contract sum is agreement will remain fixed for the duration of the contract. So A, this will always be fixed. It doesn't move, it doesn't change. This budget is fixed on your contract. Column B, right? Contract value, current contract value. This fluctuates up and down. This depends on your site instructions, what was added, what was removed. So according to the JBCC guide, completion and payment, the totals of column A and B give an immediate comparison between the contract sum and contract value. At the time of issue of the payment certificate, the quantity surveyor where appointed determines the adjustments to the contract value for approval by the principal agent. It is the current value of the contract that has been adjusted based on events which occurred during the construction phases. So for example, something was added to the contract to the building, this value then is going to change, and you will see in this value they'll have something here say authorize adjustments to contract value, and you will put in if something has been added on. Then we're on to C, current valuation. So this current C, this block C is this current valuation. So for example, we are doing certificate number 7. That is the values for the certificate number 7, for example, right? Then D is what is now going to be certified and issued for payment and processed for payment. That is column T. So there are links here. You can take down the link This video is very helpful in understanding how a payment certificate works and also a recovery statement. So you can check out these links. I was going to play it, but because I think we have time constraints, I won't be able to. So we can just take a quick snapshot of it and you can just go through it if you would like to.
I think the links are also in the guide, Ms. Muller.
Yeah. Okay, so scenario. Oh, my spelling. Sorry, guys. Right. The following questions are typical questions which may come out. Like I was just like looking at past year exam papers and I'm creating my own drama here. Notice how the questioning styles varies from directly providing the values to providing you with insights where you will have to extract values yourself. Follow each example and note our hints as you progress. Please note all these example scenarios, questions are fictitious. If I made a mistake in this, guys, I am sorry, but I don't think I have. But if somebody does pick up something, by all means, always just drop a message in the chat or something, and then we can see how we can go further from there. So let's get into the story, right? I want you to be in story mode now. And you are the principal agent on the following contract. And the JBCC principal agreement is in use. The following contract data is available. All amounts, look here, exclude VAT. All amounts excludes VAT unless otherwise stated. Cap adjustment was not selected, meaning your contract price adjustment provisions are not selected. Therefore, your tender price is fixed. The date on which payment certificates must be issued is the 28th of each month. And now, so also this here, important, 28th of each month. The employer, Beautiful You, Dermatologist and Beauty Clinic, Pty Limited. Who is a contractor? AB Construction, Pty Limited. Remember also, guys, I just want to make a note that this is all fictitious. I don't know if there is a Beautiful You out there, and I don't know if there is a ABC Construction out there. It's just for an example that I just came out with, right? Works identification, new two-story aesthetic clinic, constructed of, and they're giving you data, what it's made out of, right? Site description portion, where is it? 121 ELF 753 23rd Avenue, Rietfontein, Pretoria. Where's the address of this project happening? And the contract sum. Remember, guys, the contract sum is fixed and it is what? Excluding VAT. Carrying on that story, on the 21st of March 2024, you received an interim valuation number 5 from the QS, which contains the following information. All amounts exclude VAT. Value of works executed to date, value of materials on site, value of materials off-site, authorized adjustments to the contract value by means of addition. So probably there was a site instruction to the contractor to say, add this to the project. And obviously now there is a cost, it's not obvious, but there is in this instance a cost factor. So it was authorized and put through. So there's additions here, previous amount certified, what was previously amount certified, and there is something here. Remember, authorized adjustments can also be by means of subtractions and negative. So it's either positive or negative, and that will inform that portion. Fixed construction guarantee, just to get some background. This type of guarantee ensures that the construction project will be completed within a specific time frame and at a set price. The contractor bears the risk of any cost overruns or delays in completing the project within the agreed upon parameters. Essentially, the client pays a fixed amount for the construction and the contractor commits to completing the project according to the agreed specifications within the budget and time frame. Variable construction guarantee. In contrast, a variable construction guarantee provides flexibility in terms of both the cost and timeline. The final cost and completion date of the project may vary based on the factors such as changes in material prices, unforeseen circumstances, etc. In summary, the main differences between fixed construction guarantee and variable construction guarantee lies in the level of certainty provided regarding the project cost and completion date. Fixed guarantees offers clear, predetermined costs and timeline, while variable guarantees allow for adjustments based on changing circumstances during the construction process. This is just a little background information. I just thought that if somebody would want to know. So let's get into this example scenario of our story, right? Right. You have initially completed the payment certificates. However, you have a very disgruntled employee. You never pay him his increase or whatever he's angry at you, right? However, this disgruntled employee sabotaged it before it was sent out for payment. Now you have to redo it. You need to fill out and complete a new payment certificate. So this is the type of question. You filled it out, you did your work, you like, oh, okay, this is done now. You come back to your office ready for issuing, and this is what is happened. You have to redo this. You cannot send this out. So let's get cracking quickly so we can issue out the payment certificate. Right. Step 1. In a payment certificate, as a question above, list out what has been given to you, right? Immediately from the list of items which are necessary in order to fill out the certificate. If the project information from the header, body, and footer is provided, you're well on your way to scoring all the marks. If not, it means you have some work to do. Remember, if you understand how a payment certificate works, you are getting marks for JAM, because a payment certificate is, if you understand it, it's not scary at all. It can get confusing, but even if you are confused at any one point in time, just stick to your basics and stick to what you know, and always just try and fill out what you know, and then you can always get into the other nitty-gritty things, right? So you don't have to get all confused or fuzzed about it when attempting the certificate. So are header items given to you? Yes, it was given to you. Did your employee sabotage it? No, they never. So here the employer was Beautiful You, AB Construction, U Story Aesthetic Cleaning portion. But always, even if it's there, I would always suggest you always double check and triple check your work. So go back. There's no harm in going back to the question. Let's go back to the question. Is the employer Beautiful You? Yes. Is the principal contractor AB Construction? Yes. Double check. Is it a two-story aesthetic clinic? Yes. So put in all of this and just verify. Just always double check and verify whatever you do, right? Right. Now, body. Are all the things in the body given to you? Well, it was given. The employee scratched it out. So no, it's not. The valuation date is given, right? Again, verify that the correct valuation is there. Don't just take it for granted that there is 21st March. Go and verify it. Always double check. Issue date. It was there. It got bummed out. Sorry for my word. What date was it issued on? Payment due date. What date was it issued? Now remember, the payment due date will be 14 calendar 14 calendar days afterwards, right? From the initial 2 weeks. So we're going to calculate that. And we got value of works executed, materials and goods on site was scratched out. Again, go back to your question and try and get the answers from there. So we're going to go materials of good on site. Go here. Value of works, there's the amount. Materials, there's the amount. Values of materials, there we go. Authorized adjustments, previous amount. So these are going to be working hand in hand when you are doing it. And all you're gonna do then is just insert it here. So put the value of works inside. Materials and goods, put it inside. Materials good offsite, put it inside, and there's going to be a subtotal, and that subtotal then will come down. Right. Footer items. Again, your name and address of the principal agent. I don't know if there is a company by this name. It's just fictitious. This is the street address, signature, date 28th of March. This date at the top, here. Payment due date 28. When you get that, this date and this date, sorry, not the 28th, the issue date, that issue date and the payment date needs to be matched. So this date and the issue date needs to match at all times, right? Because this date is the date in which the principal agent is now issuing the employer to now start paying for the works done on the to the contractor, and then from this date, the contractor will have the employer will have a time limit in order to then do the payment due date. So I'll just want to click in here. Right. So this is going to be like your answer sheet. Materials and goods, you're going to place it inside there. All your data comes in here. If there is any, you're going to add them 1, 2, 3, and then it gives you your subtotal here, right? Just go inside there. Right. From this section, you are going to then transfer it into your current certification. So that value will end up going into that portion. Gross amount certified, what was certified, less previous amount certified. Again, we go back to the question. What was our previous amount certified? Previous amount certified, 35,600. And that information will be added in there. Less previous amount certified, because we're going to be taking everything that was certified minus what was already paid to the contractor, and then we are going to be left with our net amount certified, and that's that amount. Now, if there has been any cost fluctuations, in this case, there was nothing. Was there any authorized adjustment to the contract value? Yes, there was. Remember, we had authorized adjustments to the contract value, 35,780. So there was. So that will just be filled in there. And this column A, any values here will always just be brought down in column A. Any values in B will be brought down here. So here's your subtotal. So your net contract sum plus any additions or minus any additions. In this instance, it is an add-on. plus those additions will give you your new subtotal here in this portion. And then current valuation, you're going to put in all your details, materials and goods, on site, off site, everything is from your story. You're going to add it on. That amount transfer into current certification. We bring that amount down here into this section of cost fluctuations. Number 7, cost fluctuations. There was nothing. And then we say gross amount certified. That the gross amount certified is everything that was paid, remember. So now we need to take out from everything that was paid for this current certificate. And that's why we're going to put in our less amount, this previous amounts. And we're going to have our net amount certified. Now this net amount is here. It's going to come down here. If there was nothing here, was there any expense or loss payable to the employer in this case? No. Was there any additions for damages payable to the contractor? No, there was nothing in the story about that. So it's a null, 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 null all the way. That same net amount, nothing has changed. There were no additions, no alterations to it. It comes out down into your subtotal here. Now, remember, we also have to pay tax, right? So that amount all excludes tax, right? Up to 12.0, all excludes tax. Then we're going to go, this amount times 15% will give you your tax. You're going to add your subtotal plus your tax amount, and then you're going to have your total rand value including tax. And the same thing you are going to do for column D. You're going to add it for your tax. Was there any default pay interest in the story? No. Was there any other recoupment from the contractor, any default interest, any compensatory interest? If there was any of these things, it's going to be added into this column D. If there isn't, it's a null all the way until you're going to come down to certified amount due for payment to the, and who is getting paid in this instance? It is the contractor. And what amount is he getting paid? It's going to go in here. Remember, this amount, the subtotal, times 50% will give you that amount. That subtotal 12 plus 13, 12.0 plus 13.0 plus your tax amount is going to give you your 15.0, which is your total, including VAT. So 15 is total, including VAT. What currency are we using? We use the South African rands. What is the contract sum execution? So because we are using variable, construction variable guarantee, we're going to put in a percentage. If we are not using that, we don't have to fill this in. So we're going to go to D 8.0 divided by 812.0 times 100, and we're going to get a percentage. I'm going to show you that now, and we go on to the next page. Fill in the details. If the details wasn't filled in, you need to fill in the details. And the date here, 28th March, needs to match your issue date of 28th March always. And then after that, you calculate your calendar days for your payment due date to the contractor. Right. So let's go into this. Let's see if I can just do this here just for now.
Yasmin, I don't want you to rush, but we have about 8 minutes till 12. So I'd say probably about 15 minutes more, and then we should conclude.
Yeah, what I want to do is I just want to, just for clarity.
Yeah, sure.
What I want to do is take this out and just put in the data here. So everybody, instead of me, going up and down slides.
Beautiful.
just so that there's a free flow, you know.
Sure. Well,
Oh,
Yasmin, let me give you about a minute or two to do that. Whilst you're doing
yes.
that, I'll put my camera on very quickly. So for everyone that's still with us here, there are some questions in the chat box which we will be addressing. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten about it. As I mentioned, if you didn't get the guide yet, we will speak to Mr. Budley, but I would advise that you contact him yourself to also mention that you haven't gotten the guide. When it comes to a few questions like, will this be recorded? It is being recorded, but I do still advise you to join anyway, because with digital recordings, anything could potentially go wrong, even once we've completed the recording. And you might not be able to see all of the information afterwards. I'm mentioning this as a caution. So if you're deciding to not join tomorrow, and that's why you're asking if it's recorded, that's not a very good idea. On that note as well, Yasmin, all of the stuff that Yasmin has on the screen will fortunately be recorded, and everything that the panelists can see, at least from my understanding, is what will be evident. So if you had any viewing issues, like you couldn't see exactly what was there, I don't think that would be much of a problem. But Yasmin, over to you again.
Okay.
Good, you got it all under
Right. Yes.
wraps there? Great.
Okay. So I'm just going to go quickly through it just again one more time in case there's any confusion or something. Just so you guys have a better idea and understanding of how this works. Right. Payment certificate number 5, we got that from our initial story. Our employer, Beautiful You, contractor, AB Construction Works, 2-story aesthetic clinic, portion 1-to-1 ERF, Rietfontein, and right, there's it, right? Employer, Beautiful You, principal contractor, works, site description, contract sum. On the 21st of March, you received the interim valuation number 5. So they're telling you interim certificate number 5, there's it there, from the QS, and it's interim, so it is correct. And it was issued on the 21st of March, issue date, valuation date, interim valuation 21st of March, there's it in that point. Value of works, here's your list of all the works, executed date, value of materials on site, value of materials off site, authorized adjustments for any additions or alterations. So all of that data comes in here. Any authorized adjustments again to the contract value, here we've put it in a 0.6, and we're now just filling in the data from the question. We are literally just taking it and we are inserting it in its respective columns. Then, sorry, excuse me, authorize adjustments to the contract value by means of additions, previous amount certified. So once we have placed in all the values that is known, right? We start systematically, start with your contract sum, fill in your data of contract sum. What was your contract value, the initial one? Place it in there. Go to column B, put in that original contract sum, and then was there any added adjustments to the contract value? Yes, there was. Put in that amount, 35,000. Or if something was removed from there, you're going to say minus 35,000. But in this instance, it's an addition, so you're going to just leave it as 35. You're going to add up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 0.1, 2.2, and that's going to give you your subtotal 3. Your subtotal amount will come down 1 to 4 for security adjustments applicable. Because there was no security adjustments, there's no amount there. So that same 60,560 goes into current certification, meaning now this is a whole bulk from payment certificate 1 right up to payment certificate 5 is 60,500 and something, right? So that amount comes down and it goes into gross amount certified. But we are not going to pay the contractor what we have already paid him before. We have to remove that amount. And now what we pay him is only what is for this certificate amount, So we're going to remove the previous amount certified to the contractor. And this is our certificate for number 5, 24,960. Remember, this amount excludes VAT, right? The totals from column A, that 253,000 comes down to 12.0 subtotal. The total, the net contract sum of contract B plus any additions comes down here to 12.0 for the subtotal of column B. Column D, that subtotal of the previous amount certified, your gross amount certified minus any previous amount certified is your net amount certified. The column D, 24,960 is going to come down here to item 12, subtotal. Now, all these amounts are excluding VAT. All we're going to be doing now is adding our VAT to these amounts. So we're going to go step by step. First column A, subtotal times what is the current VAT amount at this time. So at this time it is 15%, and that is 37,000 is 15% VAT off the initial subtotal for A. You're going to do the same thing for B, and you are going to do the same thing for column D. Then, because our story didn't have any other information in it about any default interest, all of this is not applicable. You just say null and you continue. Now, total, 15.0 total. This total is including your VAT amount. So for under 15, it's including your VAT amount for column A and column B. And under 16, this is the amount that we are going to be paying the contractor. This amount is including VAT now, because we are taking the VAT, the normal subtotal, we including our VAT amount, our tax, and then we are going to issue out the payment certificate, including the tax amount to who are we are paying? We are paying the contractor, and we want to know what is the current contract sum execution on the project. This is a quick calculation. It is not very difficult. All you do is go to D8, right? I'm going to go up to D. So we are looking at column D. And we are looking at, on the left-hand side, all these numbers. 1, we're going down to 8, gross amount certified, which is 60,560. We are taking that amount, D8, divided by A12. And A12 is our contract sum. And A12 is 253,000, that amount. We think that you're going to do D8 divided by A12 times 100, and it's going to give you a percentage, and that will tell you how much percentage of the progress it has, payment has been done for the contract sum. Is it more than 50%? Is it less than 50%? It's less than 50%. Is this a practical completion? No. Is it final completion? No. We're leaving all of that blank because we're saying it's less than 50%. We're putting in our practice name and the address. You can just create your own one if one is not provided. Like if you have a scenario like that, I've seen from past papers like that. Your signature, and again, this date, 28th March, has to match this date, 28th March, because it is from this date that you're counting 14 calendar days in when you get payment due date. Remember, if the contractor is not paid on or after the 11th, right? Then default interest will be then applicable to the contractor. So that's why this date is very, very important. And these two will match, because this 28th day is the date that the principal agent is issuing out this payment certificate. And remember, it's a principal agent who sends out your payment certificate tool for payment. Okay, that's the end of that. You have any questions? How are we for time for questions?
Very good question you ask, Yasmin. We are 12:03, so you finished 3 minutes just past 12, which is good. Well, at least that's my time. Not sure if
Okay.
everyone's time is reading the same, but appreciate all of the overview that you've gone through, Ms. Muller. I'm going to hand over to Mr. Moodley in a couple seconds. Just in conclusion to this, from all the information that has been discussed today, I know that there are some questions. And before we address each of them in the question box, I just want to bring your attention to, again, the purpose of these sessions. A lot of you have lots of years of working experience. A lot of you have a practice that you run yourself, in which you set the rules and you do what works best for your business. This classes aren't aimed at doing what we think is right for your business, because your business has specific needs at specific instances. This class is trying to follow the guidelines, the regulations, and the best practice that at this moment is being used and that has been prescribed by SACAP, so that you can answer the questions in the most professional way possible. Now, perhaps you might do something differently at your firm, and that might be an instant base or an instance base. Sometimes you might do things differently because a scenario comes up which necessitates an individualized response. We're trying to provide an overview for best practice and what you should do in an examination so that you can score the marks that you need to get. Again, I just want to remind all the candidates, passing this exam is not a reflection of your self-worth or your competence. Passing this exam is the next step in your journey towards becoming a practitioner that is registered as a professional and starting your own practice or getting that raise or becoming a partner or an associate or whatever it is that you aim to do. So we'll answer all of the questions, but recall again, we're trying to guide you towards what we are expecting to see in the examination, or at least what the examiners will be looking and expecting to see. So on that, Mr. Moodley, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Muller.
There's a little bit of a back, Mr. Moodley, while you're speaking, there's an echo coming through. Maybe someone needs to mute on your side there.
Okay, no problem. I think it's my...
No, still there.
Just give me 1 second, I'm going to sort that now.
Okay, sure. Again, please put all of your questions through in the chat box. I do believe that there are quite a few questions that have come through. There's over 77 questions from what I gather. A lot of them were about not being able to see the screen. Here's one response: no, it has gone again. Someone says, yes, it's good. Someone said, no, can only see it small again. So that's the bulk of the 70 questions. Ms. Moody, feel free to interrupt me as soon as you're ready there. On the questions that are here, I see there's a couple of them that talk about the guide. There's a couple of them talk about the recording, and there's also a few that mention where will it be made available. All this information will be communicated to you via SACAP, either within this week or next week.
Can you hear me now?
Can hear you, Mr. Moodley. Over to you.
Okay, like I was saying, thank you, Mr. Muller, for the interesting presentation. I hope the candidates have benefited from this long, insight, in-depth presentation. We're going to go into question and answers. I see we have Nicolene, the first one, hands up, your hand been raised for quite some time. So let's go straight into question and answers, and then we will then move on to the next one. Nicolene? Nicolene? I think the hands are down. Okay. Sia? Sia, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, do you have a question?
I'm struggling to hear you. What's your question again?
Do you have a question? I see your hands are raised. Do you have a question?
Oh, no, sorry, I must have pressed by mistake.
Okay, no problem. Next one I see is Robert. I see you have a hand up. Robert. Robert, do you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, Robert.
Okay, great. My question is this. Authorized adjustment in the contract value has changed, number 6B, in the example that Mrs. Mullah did now. That should also must then change 12B and 13B and obviously then 15B. Am I not correct?
1 minute, let me just get what you're saying. Yeah, so if you're going to have an authorized adjustment, so if something was added on or taken out, column B's value will change, and that same thing will go down to in the column of column B. So it's like you're just pulling it down, down, down. If you understand what I'm saying, you're moving downwards. And when you come down there, at the end, like, you know, at the end when it's going to be practical completion, that's when that other amount will then be changed for any additions or removals of the last payment certificate.
But should 12 be in your example, not then include that 35,000 adjustment plus the VAT on that?
Sorry, you're saying 12B?
12B in your example should include 6B. Am I not correct?
Yes.
Okay, but in your example it doesn't.
Wait, let me just oh, shit. You're talking about 12B. I've added on. So the 12B is made up of your net contract sum plus any authorized adjustments.
No, it's not.
253,052 plus 35,780.
Oh, okay.
Gives you 253. I wasn't saying every single digit, if you can understand, because it's quite a lot. But just the initial. So that is the process. Because this amount is not a big amount, it's not going into the 250,000. It's not making a difference there. I was just saying the first 3 digits because it's large amounts.
Okay,
right?
no, 100%.
Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
All right. No problem.
Okay, we don't seem to have any. Does anybody else have a question? I don't see any other hands up.
No,
Okay,
maybe not.
David.
Maybe not.
No, I think David's got a hands up. Let me just David, you can go for it. David.
Hi, can you hear me?
David, I can hear you now.
Hi, I just had a question regarding the sign date at the bottom of the payment certificate. So I found the JBCC explanatory guide and also the text at the bottom of that field. It says that signed by the principal agent who, as agent for the employer, certifies that the positive or negative amount stated is due and payable by the date stated, irrespective of the date of the signature of the certificate. So my understanding is that the issue date and the sign date don't necessarily have to match, but I just wanted to understand if I'm misinterpreting this.
No, so basically what they're trying to say is the date 28th of March, this at the time when the principal agents made that signature on this payment certificate, on that date, you're going to be working off 14 calendar days. So irrespective of this issue date. You understand what I'm saying? But you have to try, it should be best practice to have the issue date and your date of signature on the same day, because that date, when you're looking, in your files, you're going to look at issue date and you're going to count 14 days later to 11th April. Basically, that's what you're doing. Because this is the date, 28th March. That is the date now it's being issued. If, for example, that issue date, the QS sent it to you on the 28th of March, and you decided you're having a nice party and you don't want to work, and you come here on the 3rd of April, and you're signing the 3rd of April, you can't give the payment due date to the employer by the 11th of April. That's not fair, because that is not 14 days. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. We go on to Mona.
Hi, good day. Can you hear me?
Hi,
we can
yes,
hear
I
you,
can.
Mona.
Hi. I just have a general question, and I thought let me just ask it now before we go on to 4. I am a candidate and I'm writing the exam, but they said I should not write paper 2, though I am taking in all of this and I love it and so on. Is it fine for me, or must I still write paper 2? Because we're doing paper 1 tomorrow.
I take it that you are a draftsman, Ramona. Are you a draftsman?
No, I'm just a candidate. I work under a draftsman mentor, but I'm writing the exams to get.
What category of registration are you? Are you a candidate architectural draftsman, candidate architectural technologist, senior technologist?
Yes.
What category of registration?
No, candidate architectural draftsman.
Okay, a candidate architectural draftsman is only required to write paper 1. That's a mandatory paper. You can write paper 2, and I would advise candidates, draft people to write paper 2, to just attempt it. And if you pass, you pass. That information and that marks will be stored into your file, but it will be valuable for you to try it. And in the event that you have passed paper 1 and for some reason attempted paper 2 and have failed, that will not affect you moving or upgrading from a candidate architectural draftsman to a professional architectural draftsman, because it's only mandatory for you to write paper 1.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for that answer. I will do that.
We're looking at the next one.
Mr. Khan, how much time do we have? It's 12:16.
Yeah, I think Mr. Mudia is going to advise you on that as well, because I know we're trying to end at 2. And so maybe if you have like a 15, 20-minute toilet break, even, I don't know, pushing it to 25, I guess is a lot. Mr. Mudia, what do you gauge?
No, I think we need at least.
And I think
it's Friday.
We'll be able to keep it in that frame.
Well. Yeah, so I think 15 minutes break, stretch break, before we move on to Louis, and then obviously we can try to finish as quick as possible so that guys can obviously have a nice Friday. I think that's what they would prefer. I see Ramona still has a hand up, so let me just try to unmute her.
Those are legacy hands, Ms. Moody, legacy hands.
Okay.
No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah. I'm good.
Okay, no problem. Let's see, we have somebody else here now. Samuel.
Hi, good day to everybody. I got a question regarding to the sum of the work. Like full of the time when they're giving a sum of the work, they come excluded VAT, or sometimes come with including VAT, whereby we have to calculate VAT when you're filling up on column A, when it's subtotal, maybe you have to take it out the VAT and add on 15% and below.
Okay, so to answer that question, you have to go to the question, right? You have to go to your scenario, you have to read your scenario. And in this case, the scenario was stated that all amounts exclude VAT unless otherwise stated. So you take it that it excludes VAT unless it has been stated including VAT. So for example, can you see I said contract sum, and I also got there the amount, and I also wrote in there excluding VAT. or it can be including VAT, and that's how you will know how it is with including VAT. If VAT is included in the contract sum, you need to remove the VAT first and then insert it into your payment certificate. So all data at the top will be excluding VAT, unless you then only adding VAT at the end, you know, at the portion where I told you. At 13, that's where 13.0, that's when you're only adding any VAT, but all other calculations to this is excluding VAT. Did that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. It is answered. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Bye.
No problem. Bye.
I see we have another one, Daniel. Okay.
Yes, hi there.
Hi.
Sorry guys, this is a bit off topic, but I just wanted to find out, there's an issue with the SECAP website for logging monthly training records. I'm just hoping that you guys could shed some light on that.
Okay, with regards to the monthly training records, if you go onto your SECAP profile, you see a tab says monthly training records. And once you click on that, on the MM profile, you find that it says coming soon.
Yes.
Your old system is still valid, right? The old MTR system is still valid. There is a new process or link in order to get to the old system. That's the only thing that has changed, nothing else. So the current MTR is not available on the MM system. We are still utilizing the old MTR system, and all records are still valid on the old MTR system. The only thing that has changed is the link to the old system, meaning that previously candidates would go to the SECAP website, go to the bottom of the screen, and click on Manage MTR, and that's how they get there. If you try that now, you find that that will pose a bit of a problem and give an error message. So the manner in which a candidate should get access to the MTR or a mentor should get access to the MTR system is on the URL. You type in mtrlogbook.secapsa.com that allow you access to the MTR system.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you've got any other questions? Okay, you seem not to have any questions. Going once, going twice. Any questions, guys? I think we can have a small break, a stretch break. And then in light of time, we have let's say 10 minutes break, and then we can start with the second session. Is that fine with everybody?
I think that makes sense, Mr. Mudley, but I'll be dropping off. So I will see everybody else tomorrow. I will be concluding tomorrow's session. So thanks everyone for your time here. Mr. Mudley, I think the 10-minute session will be good, and then for Louis to present his stuff. But otherwise, thanks, Mr. Mudley. Over back to you.
Okay. Now it's 12:22, so 12:32 we should return and we can start the session. And I advise all guys to please come back, as the next section is critical, again, dealing with contracts and other aspects that is critical to paper 2 and add value to you in the preparation for your PPE exams. Thank you, and we'll go for a 10 minutes stretch break.
Thank you, Mr. Mudley.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Thank you, Mr. Mudley, and good luck.
The client. Right. If you have a look at the rest of the contract itself, then you will see there is the percentage for the new work, for alterations, etc. And then you will see this slide indicates the responsibilities of the client itself. There's a lot of responsibilities of the client in terms of the contract, where the client must give must sign off the plans, review the plans before it's been submitted, etc., etc. That is page 3 of 9 of the contract. Then the architectural professional, that's on the next page, 4.2, have a lot of responsibilities as well. For instance, 4.2.10, only make material changes to the approved design during construction without the consent of the client in case of an emergency. But liaise all the time with the client. And you can see not exceed the scope, 4.2.1, not exceed the scope of authority given to him as a client's agent in terms of this agreement. But I'm sure you're familiar with the contractual provisions. The architectural professional shall not be responsible for the financial viability of the project, the services provided by or performance of other consultants, etc., any material, component, system, specialist design or workmanship, delays, patent or concealed defects, etc., etc. Then the fee payable for the work of services, the method of calculation, and the stages at which such fees must be payable is the next part of the contract on page 4 of 9. Then the next, you can see there's a lot of contractual stipulations there, and the fee based on anticipated final project cost, the time-based fee depending on what method you are going to use, and then we come to the work stages 1 to 6, and as I indicated earlier, work stage 1, 2, 3, and 4.1 is up to the point where the local authority approves the plan ultimately. Workstage 4.2, 5, and 6 is more on the construction documentation, the construction and the closeout. Then the reimbursement of expenses. And then very important is the budget and the provisions for termination of agreement. And then the termination of the architectural appointment. And point number 8, also the local council also require this, the details of professional indemnity insurance. Every professional should have a indemnity insurance, and the detail is completed there. We have the same in the legal practice arena, that there should be some, indemnity insurance as well. And the same goes for every profession. If you think of the medical profession, similar. Then you can see the current professional indemnity insurance details, 8.2. And then very, very important, maybe the last point, but very important, and that's also covered in some of the examination material, provision for dispute resolution. Should there be any dispute between the client and the architectural professional, it must be referred to mediation. And you can see the decisions of the mediator shall be binding if no agreement is reached during mediation. And then there's also the arbitration clause, 9.4, and then there's special conditions if need be, and signed at the end by the client on a specific date and place, and a witness. And that's the basic contract there. So you must be familiar with the contract, because that's the first thing that one do, is you sign a contract with the client before commencing with any work. And we see that in some of the disciplinary cases against architectural professionals, is that there's not a contract, there's a verbal contract, another written contract. And that is the first thing that might be a problem, because you can't rely on a verbal contract specifically, and the written contract is much better and is actually required. Ladies and gentlemen, the Joburg City Council have a small diagram where you can also see how the process flows from inception until completion. And that is, if you look at this now, and I'm sure that most municipalities in South Africa have a similar diagram. You start off with a title deed, which is the responsibility of the owner or the client. They normally get it from the transfer attorney, the title deed, and that's a requirement for submission to the local municipality. Then the design brief, and that is where the client brief the architect or the architectural professional on what he or she require. Then they choose the architect, the very top one there. Once the architect is chosen and the contract has been signed, then we can start with the design. There's a lot of communication that must occur between the architectural professional as well as the client. And once the design is done and everyone is satisfied, then the client sign off on the design, approving that. Then the next step is to submit the design or the approved plan, approved by the client, to the local municipality and complete all the forms. And I will go through some forms in the next slide that you will see for the approval by the local council. Now, at Joburg City Council, there's an online approval process. So you upload everything electronically, and then they comment electronically as well, and then you can resubmit or add or until completion. Then there is the plan submission, and the plan is submitted to the council and approved ultimately. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just one of the forms, the building plan submission form of Joburg City Council. And I'm sure every city council have their own forms, which is similar. We can see the details of the registered owners, details of the applicant, and it must be signed by the owner, and is also contractually based. Then there is a part on the right-hand side, which is page 2 really of the contract of the building plan submission form, with a lot of stipulations, and it refers to parts of paper 1 that we will discuss tomorrow, the SANS 10,400 regulations, etc. And you can also see that on the 3rd page of this form. Another form that is important for submission at the local council is the IDOW policy board notice of SICAP. This is an old one. There is a newer one on the SICAP website where you can see that the property owner must sign the form, and the SICAP professional must complete the form with the project details as well as the registered person's authorization and architectural practice name, registration number, and professional title, as well as all the details there. I had a plan returned the other day because the owner didn't sign properly. And then the local municipality didn't continue with the process. So very important form as well. We discussed now, the PROXA form, and we also looked at the JBCC contract that was done earlier on by Ms. Muller. Now, just a little bit of a briefing and also just a background. As you know, 4.2, that is now part 4.2, 5, and 6 of the total stages of SICAP is now the tender and the site handover and the practical completion, as well as the liability period and the payment certificate, as what Ms. Muller indicated. So this is just a slide on that for completion. And you can see the final completion and the latent defects liability period, all covered by Ms. Muller. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very short presentation, but I'm finishing this presentation off by some pertinent questions that will be covered in the examination, and that's also part of your handout, and it will focus on the responsibilities of the client as one party to the agreement, and the responsibilities of the architectural professional as the other party. Now, a typical question that you can expect is you are a professional architectural technologist and you are appointed by a client, Mr. Lebakeng, to design a house in Port Elizabeth. You entered the client professional project agreement for the architectural services with Mr. Lebakeng. Now, name 8 responsibilities of Mr. Lebakeng. Remember, he's a client and he has equal responsibilities in terms of the client professional project agreement. I think we discussed it earlier on, and I indicated to you in the agreement, there's some things that the client must do that he's responsible for, and there is some things that the architectural professional is responsible for. Now, I'm going to indicate to you the answer, and that you can see this is a typical question that's been asked in previous exams as well. Now, one of it is to give the architectural professional the authority to act as a client's agent when performing their duties. A typical example of that is I had to draw a previous plan from the local authority the other day, and I couldn't do it without having a permission from the client in writing that he mandated me or she mandated me to be able to get the plan. Now that is a typical example of that. Clearly and timelessly provide the architectural professional with the requirements. That is the brief. We call it the brief, including the accommodation schedule, desired level of quality, financial and time constraints. We find that sometimes there is a client that report the professional to SACAP and indicate that the professional is now dragging his or her feet. But once this 5.1.2 was clarified, then there is it's clear that how long can the professional take, what is the desired level of quality, the financial and time constraints. Provide the architectural professional with copies of the title deeds, diagrams, lease conditions, and details of all the related constraints concerning the project. Very important, the local authority will not approve the plan if there is not a copy of the title deed, if there is no spatial diagram, so all these things is important, but it is the client that must provide the architectural professional with that. Appoint a land surveyor. If need be, if there's a land surveyor needed, then it is the responsibility of the client to do that. Provide the architectural professional with all available and pertinent data relating to existing buildings. The architectural professional must be able to visit the site with the client to take some measurements. Sometimes the previous plans is not up to date. Sometimes it encroaches on the building lines, and then that must be clarified. That must be pointed out, and it is really the responsibility of the client, as much as it is also responsibility of the architectural professional to know these things and to point it out if it's not given, if it's not shown by the owner. Obviously, we know that not all the owners are au fait with all the regulations. Allow the architectural professional reasonable time to execute the services. Promptly provide the professional with information. Be reasonably available for meetings during all stages of the project. Respond timelessly to all reports, proposals. I'm busy with a client at the moment, and he doesn't come back to me, So after numerous emails, I need now to make another plan to be able to contact the client. Appoint consultants to provide specialist services. Sometimes there must be a surveyor. Sometimes there must be an engineer involved. There is some other professionals that's also required in some cases. Then Within 14 days, provide the architectural professional with proof that capital is available for the project, a guarantee for the payment of the architectural professional fees and reimbursement, pay the architectural professional within 30 days of presentation of the invoice, pay all the costs for the processes, prepare the safety specification, and perform all duties in terms of the OHS Act, or appoint a specialist consultant to undertake these tasks. You know, there's apart from the OHS Act, there is some other acts that is also applicable, but the OHS Act is also very important, especially with the construction. You know, then one must make sure that the person who construct the building also, you know, perform their duties in terms of the OHS Act. Indemnity of the architectural professional against all claims by third parties, and against new instructions issued by the client after the scope of work has been agreed to. So that is 18 of those responsibilities of the client. Now, we know that not only the client have responsibilities, but also the architectural professional. And that brings me to a second part of this contractual relationship. Should an architectural professional have professional indemnity insurance for the agreed liability period when a minor alteration is done? Now, remember I specified minor alteration, and it is equally important. Some of you guys will say, no, man, it's only a carport that we're designing here. We don't need indemnity insurance. But the real answer to that is yes. Even if it's a minor alteration, there need to be professional indemnity insurance, because that's part of being a professional. You need to have insurance as per Section 8. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of the short presentation, but equally important presentation. This is the end, and there's time for questions.
I think, Louis, before we go to questions, the recording started at section number 4. Can we just for the argument purpose and for recording, just go through section 1, 2, and 3 quickly again, so we have a complete recording available to the candidates, and when we upload it, just section 1, 2, and 3.
Is Mr. Moodley, is that section 1, 2, and 3 of the client professional project agreement?
In fact, yes, from here, yes.
Okay. All right. Question 1, section 1, 2, and 3. Let's quickly go through that again. As you can see, the client professional project agreement on the SACAP website. The first portion indicates the specific category of the professional. And that is an architect on the left-hand side, professional senior architectural technologist, and then the architectural technologist, as well as the architectural draftsperson. So that one is normally ticked by the professional. And then you can see this contract goes further. It indicates a project, what project name, the physical address, the reference number. Then it have the details, seeing that it's a contractual relationship. There is the detail of the client, which is the domiciliary address, the physical address, the telephone, cell phone, email, and company registration if it's a company. Then it also, 1.3 indicates the architectural professional, the name of the professional, the name of the company, the category of registration, the SACAP registration number, very important, to indicate that this is a professional architectural consultant, the physical address, postal address, telephone, email. Then the next page is the nature of the project, the occupancy or building classification. So if you look at part 20, part A20 of SANS 10,400, you will see the building classification there. All the SANS 10,400 documents is also on the SACAP website. Then the estimated area of the project, because that's going to influence the cost as well. You know, the cost of the project, but as well as the cost of stages 1 to 4.1. The estimated duration of the pre-construction period. Then the structure classification, whether it's single-story, multi-story, or non-conventional structures. And this will now also influence each category of architectural professional. Because if you look at the scope of work, then you will see that certain professions can do certain structures. The usage, whether single use, multiple use, mixed use. Then you can also see the selected services. The standard service, the following standard architectural services can be provided by the architectural professional. And whether you see the principal agent comes more in with 4.2 to and number 5 and number 6 of the scope of work. The architectural professional is more covers everything, but it mainly covers section 1 to 4.1. Then you can see there's partial services. That is now design architect, working drawings, and then you can see the construction and closeout portion here is mainly 4.2, 5, and 6. And the partial service work stages, depending on the need of the client. Work stage 1 is inception, and I think everyone will tick that box. The concept and viability, work stage 2, work stage 3, design and development, and here's work stage 4.1, local authority submission documentation. Most of us do work stage 1, 2, 3, and 4.1. You know, sometimes clients think that they can get a builder off the street and then they will supervise it by themselves. And then they will opt to do work stage 4.2, 5, and 6 by themselves. But some professional people will trust the architectural professional with work stage 4.2, 5, and 6. And that is now the JBCC contracts that is involved there. Then there is 3.6 additional services. If there's any special duty, special design services, you know, like an interior decorator, then that is marked there. Anything else that is not work stage 1 to work stage 6. Then you can see the inspection of the works, whether you are required to inspect the works daily, bi-weekly, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, per part of the work stage. Then you can see 3.8, and this is a very comprehensive contract that you signed with the client. The architectural professional agrees to strive to observe the agreed budget for the works, but offers no guarantee that tenders or quotations will not exceed the agreed budget. And this is mainly to do more with work stages 4.2, 5, and 6. Right. The architectural professional shall change the design or the specifications at no added fee. Very important as well, to reduce the tender or quotation amount to not more than the above agreed percentages, or to a possible agreed increased budget. I dealt with a case in Langebaan the other day, where the architect designed a house for, I think, 3.2 million, and the owner wanted a house of 2.4. So, you know, this is very important here in terms of contractual obligations. Then, if you have a look at the next page, there is the responsibilities of the client, the whole responsibility there, and even the next page. And very important for the examination purposes as well. And for the contractual purposes, there is some responsibilities of the client. And then the architectural professional 4.2 responsibilities. And 4.3 is the architectural professional shall not be responsible for, and it is listed over there, 4.3.1 up to 4.3.5. Number 5.
We've captured all this on the recording. It just was 1, 2, and 3 that was not recorded.
Okay, okay.
I think we can go to question and answers. Let me just see if we have any questions, any hands up yet. I see we have one hand up. We open the floor to questions.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I just have two questions quickly. If you have a, I mean, with this guideline, I'm assuming that with the open book that this can't be included in that package, right?
Exams is for paper 2 is an open book exams, yes.
But I'm
Please
saying
bear in mind, when we say open book exams, we are referring to any book outlined in a syllabus guideline and summative guideline can be utilized in the exam for paper 2 as an open book exams. Anything else that's not listed there cannot be utilized.
And that includes this document, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then the second question that I have is just with regards to a bit of an outline if you are writing in your office. I just want a bit of a background of how that runs.
As outlined on the guidelines, the exam guidelines, if you're writing in the office, you're welcome to write any way you want to, provided that you have the necessary equipments and so forth. Necessary equipments and have necessary resources, you can write wherever you want. But please bear in mind that you need to take into account load shedding, you need to take into account internet stability wherever you write.
Okay, so if it's in office, we still have to have the second camera, the second all of that
No,
stuff.
it doesn't matter wherever you write, those requirements are valid. You have to have those requirements. So that's why it's in bold and it's highlighted, because those requirements are not negotiable. And you can either have a webcam, a mobile webcam as a device, or you can have another laptop so that you can use that for multiple purposes if you have a second laptop. Yeah. Is there any other question, Tyler?
No, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. We've got another one. Nkosi. Nkosi?
Thank you. Yes, am I audible?
There's an echo somehow.
I'm not sure if it's the earphones. Can you hear me now?
Yes, but you can continue. There's still an echo, but it's fine.
Yes, I wanted to ask from on the presentation for Proxa, did he say it ends at 4.1 or 4.2 in terms of the stages?
Do we, Mr. Kutsia? Is
Mr.
that a question
Kutsia,
for the Proxa document?
Yes, let me just go through the PowerPoint presentation again. there's 3.5, 3.9, 4.1, 4.3, 5.6. It ends at 5.10, 6, then up to 10. There's special conditions up to point number 10. Should I show that again?
Please, Mr. Kutsia.
Yes.
Let me just see how will I share that screen now? Let me just go to share screen. Sorry, you guys. I'll get to that now. Share screen. And where's my screen now? It's not that one. Let me just go to the screen itself. Sorry about the... let me just go to that. There's this code of conduct, sacred paper. We're starting the PowerPoint now. Right, and it's new start from new slide. Let me just go to that slide itself, then I can share that screen. The last point. If you look at this on the SACOP website, you'll find this document on the website itself. And The last one is this one. There's the signatures. Now let's see, how can I share this? Go back here. Zoom, this one. Share screen. Do I have that one? Yes, I think it's this one. Can you see the last page here?
Yes, yes, I can.
Yeah, so that's the last page. We signed by everyone with the witnesses, and that's point number 10.
Oh yes. Now, in terms of the SACEP project stages, did you mention that PROXA agreement works for stages 1 to 4.2 or 4.1?
4.1, yes.
To 4.1, all right, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
I think we got another question here. Nicole?
Hi. I just wanted to clarify further on the support material for paper 2. I just want to make sure that it does include a printed hard copy in a binder of some sorts that you can keep. It doesn't have to be like a PDF or digital format, right?
It can be a PDF or it can be a digital format. What you are not allowed is any handwritten notes, summarized version of whatever you have studied. That is not allowed in the exam room. A printed material of the SIA guide, printed material of the JBCC document, printed material of the PROXA document, or any material stipulated on the syllabus guideline or the scientific guide, that will be allowed. But any handwritten document that you have gone or summarized, that will not be allowed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, we don't see that. We have one. Peter?
Mr. Modi?
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Just a quick question regarding the exams as well, regarding all the stipulated, you just mentioned that we may not have all additional handwritten notes or anything. Maybe provide ourselves with a blank piece of paper so that we can make notes regarding within the exam. Will that be applicable?
Yes. Yes, you
Thank you
can
very
have
much.
a blank page to do calculations. You can have a blank page to work out whatever you need to work out. Those items you need to declare before you start the exams by displaying that onto to the camera to show that the page is actually blank, and you're welcome to utilize it thereafter.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. Sorry. Ek moes dit net gevra het want daar's deeltyd daarvan.
Okay, we have Ivy.
Hi.
Yes.
To ask, in terms of writing the exams, if you're doing it at the SACUP offices, do you still need an extra laptop?
Okay. You would need an extra laptop if you're writing in the SACUP office. If you have not yet printed your material for paper 2, if you want to utilize it on an electronic device, you will have to have that device available. In terms of the camera itself, that can utilize the camera on your laptop because you're writing in the office, because there would be an invigilator available on that day for all individuals writing at the SACUP office.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and then I had a question for paper 2. When we, like, in case we're asked about the responsibilities for either the client or the architectural professional, do we answer it word for word as it is on the PROXA agreement, or do we answer it based on our knowledge?
Okay, if you look at the instruction, there'll be an instruction on the paper itself. It says the question should be answered in your own words.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. . Magda?
Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to ask a question in respect of the exam, just a couple of clarification, if it's possible. I saw on the guideline that we need to have Zoom and exam.net. And I was wondering if that exam, so I presume that we need to, if we write the exam in an office or in whatever other space, we need to have one laptop with a Zoom, because that is what we will use to show where we work, and the exam.net is where we physically will write the exam. Is it correct?
Yes, your answer is correct. Exam.net is a software that we utilize for the exam purposes, and that's where you'll be required to access the exams and write the exams, and that's what that's where your exams will be stored. The monitoring device, which is the camera and so forth, is run through Zoom, right? And that's what we will provide you a link, either Zoom or MS Teams. You would then utilize a second device to access that link and that camera to observe you during the entire exam process.
Okay. Now that exam.net is, I wanted to check online, and seems that is something that you can access as a teacher or as a student. And I suppose that we're going to access as a students, right? And it's just an online application that we don't need to download in a computer, but we're going to use it according to the code that you're going to send it to us. Is that right?
Yeah, if you have completed or you have accessed the demo exams, you'll notice two things. One, it doesn't allow you any access except for the student access, right?
Yeah.
So it takes you straight into what we call a student access portal, right? And that's because you're a student writing exams. That's one. Two is that you're saying that software. There is no software because it works off a server, which is exam.net server. There's no software you need to download. There's nothing you need to download because nothing will be stored on your laptop. Nothing will be accessed on your laptop. You're using everything from the exam.net server.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I just wanted to also ask you an aspect that the previous colleagues also asked. Now, here, for instance, in Gqeberha, probably at the Nelson Mandela University, there will be a venue with an invigilator that is going to be set up for the exam. If we decided to go and to use that venue, which I suppose that is probably arranged through SECAP, I suppose, because it's the university. Do we need to also in that case, although there is an invigilator and has been agreed, and I think that there are also cameras, like general cameras there. Do we need to still have that external or double laptop, or can we just go with our own laptop that we will use to write the exam?
Any deviation from the requirements outlined in the guidelines requires SECAP's authorization, and a request needs to be made to SECAP for a deviation. Meaning that in the event that you feel exactly what you outlined now, that you do not have a second laptop, you have a exam venue, and you have access to an invigilator, any deviation from the guidelines, a request needs to be made to SECAP for authorization.
So in this case, I need to be sure university, they've got the right to invigilate the exam from you. Is it what you are saying?
You would, no, I'm saying to you that if you feel that you want to deviate from the request made and the guidelines outlined, you are requested to submit a request to SECAP, and SECAP will review it and advise on there.
Okay, but you know, like I'm just asking because I presume that, I mean, if at university, at the Nelson Mandela University School of Architecture, they've got a venue and they organize a venue with an invigilator, that I mean, I sort of think that will be done in coordination with SECAP, I suppose. So
yes, but that is at Nelson Mandela University. What
yeah.
I'm saying is that if that's where you want to write, and that's what that's where you would like, and that's what the venue utilize the resources you're going to utilize. A request must be made to SECAP. A request will then be reviewed, and then we will advise from there.
Okay, no, I just thought that because there is a venue that is going to be organized with an invigilator will help us to write the exam without having an extra computer or an extra camera that I don't have. So now I need to, you know, like or buy it or whatever. And also having an extra computer is of course something that I need to ask someone to borrow. So it's just a practical, I suppose, venue for someone to, you know, that is part of that institution to go and write the exam. But I understand, yeah, that I need to be sure that has been approved by
So I'm saying to you, submit a request, and then from there
Yeah.
we'll review the request. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. Everything's is
Next person we have here.
Hi, Ricky, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Sorry, my question is kind of following on the question regarding writing things in your own words. In paper 2, if they ask for a definition or even a clause from JBCC, but it's still sort of the general idea for the papers to write it in your own words, would it be considered plagiarism if you actually say where it's from and if you quote the source?
If you write it word for word, it is plagiarism. That's why the instruction says write in your own words. And also on the paper, one of the other instructions there, it says that you candidates are not allowed to plagiarize information.
Okay, so would it still be considered plagiarism even if you credit the source? Because that's my understanding of what covers you from plagiarism, but is that still considered plagiarism then in the exam? I just want to clarify with regards to like clauses, specific clauses and definitions.
Yes, because we're saying that number one, avoid plagiarism. Number two is answer should be given in your own words.
Okay, thanks. That's a clear answer. Thanks.
No problem. Nkosi, are you still? I see your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
Am I audible now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, I wanted to confirm on the exam date. I believe, I mean, earphones or headsets are not allowed in the, I mean, during the examination. But is it possible or is it allowed to play any music media?
No.
Oh, okay, no, I get that. Yes, thank you for that, Mr. Bulli.
See, we have another hand up there, David.
Hi, I just have two questions just regarding how the marking works. I see some questions will award 2 marks for a specific, like it appears to be like a one-word answer. Is that generally correct? Or if it's two marks, we need to kind of give the definition and an explanation thereof, for example?
If the question requires an answer and an explanation, the question will state so. But the general rule is that when we are awarding 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, and so forth, we are not expecting a one-word answer. We're expecting the mark allocation is more or less to the allocation of the answer we're expecting. Meaning that if we award 3 marks, 4 marks, we're expecting 4 key points or 4 answers to the particular question. That's what the expectation is.
All right, thanks. And then the other question I had is there any kind of rule of thumb that you can give us in terms of how long we should spend on each question or each section of the paper?
The rule of thumb would be, if you look at the amount of the duration of the time of 3 hours, You look at the paper, there's 8 questions in the paper, right? That will give you an idea, but you find that what candidates do and what candidates always ask me is that, Mr. Morley, can I scroll and read from question 1 to question 8? Yes, you can do that. It's a typical Word document as you've seen on the demo exams, right? So you can scroll up and down. It doesn't affect your exam process in any way. You can answer questions that you feel that you are familiar with and know very well, and then go into the difficult question. Ideal scenario is please answer question in order of the questions outlined. So if you got question 1 to 8 and you feel that I know the answer for question 8 and you go for question 8 first, with all due respect, go for it, answer it, but answer them in order.
All right, cool. Thank you very much.
No problem. Ivy, I see your hands are up again. David, your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I meant to lower my hand.
Yes. Yeah. You have a question?
No, there is no question. Sorry, it was meant to be lowered. Thank you.
Yes, you have another question?
Oh, I'm asking now regarding the paper 2, in terms of the notes that we can be bringing. So say I bring the JBCC book, and then I have on the book itself, on the notebook that I have brought, I have written or handwritten notes on the book when I was studying. Is that allowed?
That will be allowed.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much, sir.
Anybody else? I see Bianca.
Hi, yes. My question was the same as the previous. I just wondered about highlighting because I've been highlighting in my, what do you call it, the SIA guide. So I was wondering about the highlighting and the writing. So that would be fine in the exam.
Yes, like I said, handwritten notes. That is obviously notes that you put onto the book itself. Handwritten notes on a separate page, that's handwritten notes. Those are not allowed.
Okay, so it's fine if I'm doodled like around the pages and stuff.
If you do funny faces, if you do smiley faces,
well,
all that will be allowed.
okay,
Right? It's
okay.
your method of learning, and we would allow that. We will not allow handwritten notes itself. Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you.
Yoshman.
Hi, Ricky. Just a quick question, just like how in course you asked. I have a book that has all the JBCC PBAs, the contract data, etc. So it's not actually separate, like JBCC minor works is separate documents. It's all in one book. Would that be allowed?
Yes. Okay. Let me clarify this. In terms of the guides that you utilize, provided that they're on the syllabus guideline, study material guideline, they will be allowed. Whether it is combined version, single version, or single pages, it will be allowed.
Okay.
What we would require for you on the day of the exams, whatever you bring to the exams, you are required to declare it by showing it to the camera and thereafter utilizing it. If you bring a blank page that you intend to do calculations or work on or to make notes for yourself, those things must be declared. If you bring a calculator for paper 1, you declare that. So any item brought for the exams are to be declared by showing it to the camera. Thereafter, you'll be able to utilize. What will not be allowed during the exam process and in the exam process would be any handwritten notes or anything that is not on the syllabus guideline or the study material guideline that will not be allowed to be brought into the exams or will be to be used in exams. If candidates are found to have something that is not within the study material guideline or the syllabus guideline or not allowed by SACAP, we will then log that candidate out of the exams.
Okay, cool. And then I have a last question. I went through the test exam that you sent us, that link. So I have my main computer, which I'm linking a webcam to, and I tested if I go to Zoom, for example, to check my camera, etc., and I go back to the web page, it kicks me out.
If you read the guidelines outlined on the online exam guidelines that was submitted, any deviation from the exam.net software, clicking out of the exam, opening another browser, or going out of the exam, minimizing anything of that nature, will time you down and log you out. Any deviation, whether you click on the time to see what time is on the clock, or you click on the taskbar, any deviation from exam.net will count you down and log you out.
Okay, cool. And then it also gave an explanation, like we can get logged back in if we give an explanation for what happened.
Yes, but depending on see, you must bear in mind that the exam.net documents every aspect that a candidate does during the exam process. If for whatever reason during the current exams we overlooked or we did not find that you Google something, exam.net would pick it up, and you might go through your 30 seconds and when we log back in. When we do get the final report after you submit, it will highlight those individuals that gone into something that's out of the exam.net, and those candidates will get 0. Not be considered get a 0.
Okay, cool. And then this is the last question from me is the actual exam like test that you gave us had a blank piece of paper on the right-hand side and then the questions on the left-hand side. So how would you go about answering the exam? That's just the question I have, because I tried to click on the past paper and answer below and it wouldn't let me. So I assumed you have to write your answers on the right-hand column in that blank piece of paper.
Are you referring to the demo exams?
Yeah, the demo exam, yeah.
Okay, demo exam, you find that you got the paper on your left-hand side, you got a blank page on your right-hand side.
Yes.
You will answer on the right-hand side, the blank page. If you go up onto the screen on the top, you can see at the current stage, you are viewing the demo exams, whereby the exam question paper is on the right, on the left, and the blank page is on the right-hand side. You can always split the screen to where the exam page appears on the top and your writing material appears on the bottom. It's left up to the candidate how he tends to view the paper itself, right? But when you click on the right, on the blank page, is where you will be required to write your answers, as outlined in the guideline. You say question 1, 1.1, answer 1.2, answer 1.3, answer question 2, 2.1, 2.2, and go in that manner and answer accordingly.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Okay, any other questions? I see we got another one from Nkosi. Nkosi?
Oh yes, this is also concerning on the exempted. I heard something about the second laptop. Please elaborate on that one.
Please read the guidelines that was given to you. It is outlined there that you are required to have a mobile webcam or a second laptop. It is left up to the candidate to decide which process would best suit them.
Oh, okay, then that is clear. Thank you, Mr. Muli.
Peter?
Yes, just regarding the previous question, not the one that was here now. He mentioned something about having one desktop and doing Zoom and the exam on the same desktop. I was really skeptic about it because mostly it states that you have to have two devices, or everybody talks about two devices. So it is, I just want to confirm, it is possible to do the exam and the Zoom meeting on one desktop if you have a mobile webcam plugged into your desktop.
Yes, you can do. It will be allowed because you're running two separate browsers. One is for the Zoom and one is for the exam.net. The challenge you're going to have is in the event that you your footage or the material on the Zoom logs out or your exam.net logs out. But yes, the answer is yes, it's possible to have that.
Okay, thank you very much.
But please note, when you do have that, and if you're running that, please be wary of the fact that you cannot switch from one to the next. If you write an exam, you want to see whether you still logged on onto Zoom. All right, that's not going to be possible because they'll keep counting you down. And every single thing and every window, every aspect that you do during the exam.net process is recorded. I mean, when I say recorded, it means documented on exam.net.
Okay, so what you're trying to say is, if I understand it correctly, start the Zoom, then when you start your exam, stay on the exam until you're finished, and then only you can close everything afterwards. Is that basically an appropriate?
That's 100% correct. That's 100% correct.
Thank you very much.
That's why, guys, there's another request and outcomes on the guidelines that stipulate that please have your cell phone switched on, because in most cases you find that you assume that you are connected to the internet because of the icon at the bottom of your screen, and only to find out that you are not connected because remember your computer does freeze, right? And the only person will get a clear indication of that, the fact that you're working offline, will be myself, because as soon as you go offline, exam.net, there's a message comes up on my screen saying that Peter is offline or Bianca is offline, whatever the case may be. Then I will then try to either send you a message or alert you on Zoom that you are offline, or on the exam chat that you're offline. In the event that all that fails, then I'll give you a courtesy call to please advise you that you can't be working offline, because if you're working offline and whatever you do during the time that you're working offline, it's not saved at all. So if you are doing, you have done 3 questions, and that 3 questions, your question 1, question 2, question 3, and you were offline during that process, none of that is saved. So the sooner we establish that you're working offline, the sooner I can help you to get online, sooner the information can be backed up, and all the information that you typed for question 1, 2, and 3 can be recovered by exam.net, and you then continue thereafter, because it will then send me a message on the screen saying Peter is back online. Peter is now continuing from question 4, and we allow you to move forward from there. Are we clear?
Yes, thank you very much.
No problem with that. Thank you. Ira.
I think the last question, surrounding, is it acceptable to have your phone as the Zoom meeting, so that you can have your phone set up on a tripod, and that is kind of watching you as your second device?
You can use that. That will not, SECA will not object. But the challenge you're going to have is in the event that you are working offline and so forth, I am going to try to phone you on your phone, which then will log you out of Zoom, right? And you're going to have challenges thereafter, going back in and back in. That's where the problem lies. But if you feel that you have got, you can operate that, and your phone will allow you to do that, with all due respect, you can utilize it. It doesn't have, we don't see a problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Magda?
Yes, thank you. I just would like to ask you, I see the exams, they start at 9 in the morning. So I presume that all of us need to be punctual and start at that time, right?
No. The exam starts at 9 o'clock. Candidates would be instructed to come online at about 8 o'clock or so that we can obviously test the Zoom link, make sure that your cameras are working properly, facing properly. You can declare what you need to declare. We'll read out all the rules and regulations right to you, and then we can test what needs to be done. And thereafter, the exam officially starts. The exam paper will be sent to you by quarter to 9 for you to preview, review, and so forth. And then the exam officially starts at 9 o'clock.
Oh, okay. But yeah. And what's happening if you know, because I mean, I suppose that is a long exam, you know, how we if someone, you know, like I'm just asking straightforward, if someone need to go to the toilet, what's going on? I mean, what how we organize that? Yeah.
During the exam process, when we read out the rules to you, we will guide you on how to declare that. And basically, what we would tell you is that there's a certain period we'll give you to go, right? But you would be required to log that into the teacher chat, just alert us that you're gone. Because when we look in a camera and we do not see someone at a particular device, we can assume the worst case scenario. But if you have alerted us, we understand and there'll be a minimum period, a time frame, which will be given to come back. So that rule will be outlined and discussed when we're reading out the rules and regulations. Is there
Okay.
any other question?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I see David's got a question there.
Yes, I was just thinking, let's just say worst case scenario, we see that we're running out of time and the instructions say that we need to submit our exam by clicking the button. If we run out of time and we don't click submit exam, what happens to our answers? Are they not saved, or does it just submit what we've got at that point?
The exam.net does not submit, right? It will be then saved as not submit on exam.net. But bear in mind that in any exam or in any online process, there's bound to have some challenges. So I want to put the candidate's mind at ease. In the event that you as an individual starts off site date for whatever reason, link not working, computer not working, you restart the computer, or your Wi-Fi not working, whatever the challenge you might have, provided that you alert us on that, the additional time that you start, the late period that you start will be given to you.
All right, cool.
But to a certain period, meaning that if somebody logs in at 11 o'clock and say, Mr. Motley, from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, I've been having problem with the computer and we were not alerted, we're not being advised, and we did not assist, then I'm not going to allow that person to continue with the exam because it'd be unfair to everybody else. All right. So based on a scenario, we will look at each scenario separately. And to also answer your question, we normally give candidates additional time, and that is done during the second hour and the third hour period based at the discrepancy of the invigilator. So it's something that we'll look at as we go along to the period in which we start, how we started, and challenges that we encountered during the start process of the exams. Then we'll determine the additional time frames that we given to candidates.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Okay, got a number of good. Andy.
Yes, good afternoon. I wanted to find out, do we have to score 50-50 or on both the papers, or you can score a little bit higher on the one and the other one less to make it all together?
The guideline says you're required to pass each paper in order to upgrade. Passing a paper requires 50% each.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anna? Anna?
Can you hear me now?
Anna, can you hear me?
Yes, and can you hear me?
Anna?
I can hear you, but
I think she's gone.
No, I'm here.
Next one.
Hello?
Jamie?
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, Ricky. Can you hear me?
Yes, I see that both of you are. Who am I speaking to? Anna or Jamie? They both are.
Both. So I'm on Lure.
Yes, I can hear you.
I'll mute
Okay.
myself.
So I had two questions.
Yes, Anna?
Yeah, the one was, so you're speaking about 15 minutes before the exam.
Yeah.
We are allowed to look into it. Are we allowed to make handwritten notes on the blank piece of paper we've shown in advance in that period of time?
Anna, if you can hear me, you can go. If not, I will move on to.
I was speaking, but I'm not sure if anyone can actually hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Yes,
Ricky can't hear me.
how can I assist you?
But now you can hear me. Can you?
You got your hand up?
Yeah, but I'm speaking. How come can't anyone hear me?
I
Can you tell
hear
me if you?
I'm
Okay.
not that, and I can hear you. I don't know.
And can you answer my question?
Okay.
Hello. And now?
And another question.
Can I otherwise write my
Sorry,
question down?
Ricky, I don't think that you can hear her, but the rest of us can. The question was basically in that 15 minutes prior to writing the exam and we get to view over the paper, Are you allowed to make handwritten notes on your blank piece of paper that you've declared in that 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
And I had a second question, if you can also translate
and there's
that
a
one.
second question. Sorry.
So with the handwritten notes, I just
Go
had
for
one
it.
small thing that I wasn't too sure about. I've, for instance, on the SIA
Am I losing
document,
somebody?
added
Yeah,
some
I can't hear you.
Sorry,
handwritten
Ricky, I'm
notes.
just waiting for her to tell me what the question is.
I just added some
So
handwritten
you're the
notes.
spokesperson for this group, no problem.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm translating, yeah.
Translate
So I
for
added,
translator for the group. Yes.
so I added
So we
some
should change the name from
handwritten
handler to
notes
translator.
onto the
Just
SIA
translate
document.
that.
Is that allowed?
Yes. Okay, so the question was if you can have handwritten notes on your SIA study aid or on the list of study material.
I said if you have already made notes on the SIA study guide or the Proxa documents or whatever the case may be, that will be allowed. Handwritten page notes, summarized version of whatever you studied, that will not be allowed.
Okay, because I sometimes have added things that were lacking on the page.
Okay. Let's see next.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Rassi, Rowan.
Hi, yes, Ricky. I just want to confirm I'll be using 2 laptops when I write the exam. On the one, I'll have all of the tabs with the different PDFs of the notes. Do we then, before the time, just declare which PDF tabs we have open and show the camera that the internet connection is off, or what is the process that we follow for that?
The second laptop would be using your camera, which means you need to have internet access, right? If you're using a camera on the second laptop, but if you've got a mobile camera and your second laptop is purely for viewing your PDF documents, yes, you are required to declare that the Wi-Fi and the internet access is switched off.
Okay, but there's no exam.net platform on that laptop for your notes, I'm guessing. So if I switch between tabs, exam.net will not pick anything up because that's only for the laptop I'm writing on.
Yes, on the device that you're utilizing.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Let's see who's next. Jamie?
Hi, Ricky. Thank you for
Yes.
the webinar and for the opportunity for us to ask questions. But for the guide that we've been talking about, I did send you an email now asking you to provide me with that guide. I wanted to know, someone mentioned something about a demo paper. Is the demo paper in the guide, or where can I find that?
Okay. All candidates this week have received 3 emails from me. Email number 1 is an email explaining the demo exams and a link to access the demo exams. Right? The second email would be rules and regulation. Second email outlining that you are successfully registered for the PPE exams, with attachment outlining the PPE rules and regulation, the online exam guidelines, as well as the what's the other one? There's 3 general information guidelines. So those are the second one. The third one would be the link to this webinar. So if you have not received those 3 things, if you receive any one of them, that means you have received the entire 3. So either it could be out of spam or something else, please look at it. If not, please send me an email quickly, then I will reattach it and send it to you. But the concern would be not that you have not received it, is what happens during the exams or when we start the exams, that the same thing will happen again where your information is not being sent to a spam. So we need to be wary of the email address that you're using to double check the spam at any given time during the exams, or rather before you start exams, so that you do not lose that link. Because if you have received the link to the webinar, it was sent the same day that the demo exam was sent, together with the email saying that you are successfully registered for the PPE exams with the required attachments. When I sent out the webinar link, on that same link, same email, there was an attachment of the actual guide that the presenters were presenting today. So you will need to just double check that that link with the guide didn't go to your spam.
Okay, thank you. I'll have a look because the only
But
email
then,
I
just like I said,
received.
if you don't get it, just send it quickly to me, an email,
Okay,
or test the guide and
cool.
send it to you. It's a summarized version of whatever the presenters were doing, or rather a detailed version of whatever the presenters were doing today. So what they did was a summarized version, but the guide itself has got a detailed version of whatever they're doing today. Whatever they intend to do tomorrow, it's got a detailed version of that. That's what the guide is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Right. I see Rowan's got more questions.
Yes, sorry. Just regarding the electronic PDFs that our notes are on. So is it okay for us to use like the control find function? So obviously the Zoom will pick up that we're typing in a word to find it in the PDF document. Is that an option, or will it be thinking that we are trying to search something on the internet or something?
That you can use that. What it will pick up is your browsing. So if you open Chrome, Google Chrome, or Chrome or Firefox and so forth, that's what it will pick up. That is a Google search engine. So that's what it will pick up. You searching for find and so forth, that it will pick up as a search, but not as a search engine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else? Let's see, we've got more questions here. Let me just get to Mr. Khan. Mr. Khan, Mrs. Khan, I'm not sure. Vishal, Mr. Khan.
It's Mrs. Khan.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
so basically you spoke about our phones needing to be on in case we go offline. What happens if somebody phones us or like we get texted by other people?
That's the purpose of us monitoring you on the camera. If that happens and we find that you're constantly viewing your phone, we're gonna log you out.
Okay, so it's just monitored through the camera, but we can still get disturbed.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that's why you're required to ensure that you obviously notify whoever and your work and so forth. And if it's advisable to save SECAP's number to understand that SECAP is phoning, or even my cell phone, because in most cases I was phoning for my cell phone, right? And all the emails that you have got from me, my cell phone number is there. So you will clear to know that it's coming from my cell phone. And that's the
And
number
your
you pick up.
message would be coming on WhatsApp or like SMS?
You're talking about in terms of when you're offline.
If we're offline, yes.
It'll come on WhatsApp, because what we do is I normally do a screenshot quickly, send it to you so that you know you're offline, and then advise you that you're offline. Then I'll give you 2 minutes to 3 minutes to kind of get online. Because I see that you're not getting online, that means obviously you didn't look at your phone. Then I'm going to try to phone you to make sure that like I said, you'll go through the process of the Zoom to try to get hold of you and inform you that you're offline. We would try to log you on the teacher chat. Failing all those processes, we then will try to WhatsApp you to can alert you. Failing that, we then will phone you. So we're not going to do the phone call immediately and disturb you. We're going to try to alert you, but within a reasonable time before we eventually contact you and inform you that you're offline. Because if you answer too many questions while you're offline, the possibility of exam.net recovering everything is low. So the quicker we establish, the quicker I can help you to get online, the quicker we can recover whatever you've done offline.
So would we be able to use our cell phones as that medium where we have our notes?
Say again? You want to utilize your cell phone to document notes?
The thing is, you know the notes that we've been given. So for the open book exam, if it's on our cell phones, would we still be able to use a cell phone, or do we need another device then?
So I take it that you are looking at your cell phone to utilize to view all your PDF documents.
Yes.
It's going to pose a bit of a problem because for a number of reasons, but it's going to pose a lot of problems.
So it's better to use another device.
Yes, because for like Rohan said, a search option is going to pose and the challenge you're going to have, Asha, is that when you're searching and the time frame that we give you for the exams, you're going to get into panic mode because you're not going to be able to find things on that small device quick enough for you to answer some of the questions.
There's actually an app. So it's like a reading app. You can find your documents. And so I was just thinking about using it. Okay.
You just answered your own question and the answer is no.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Let's go to the next question. Langa.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Langa.
Yeah, man, sorry, I stepped out for a second and came back. But I did hear you when I tried catching up. I heard you talking about saving, you know. So what came to mind is it possible then that when we're writing the exam, that after every question, like we click save and continue, or does it kick us out right after we press save?
You cannot save after each question. You only can save at the end of the exams, because once you save and it says save and something, I can't remember what it says. Once you click on that, it's going to log you out of the exams. And once you log yourself out of the exams, the code that I would have given you at the time when you log in will not work.
So that means I'll have to start again and write all the answers that
You'll be then required to contact me. The system I would then have to generate a new code for you to start off from wherever you stopped. And during that time that you get hold of me, bear in mind there's 300 of your guys writing on the day. So by the time you lose focus, the time that you get hold of me to generate a new code, you would have lost a certain amount of time. And that would be a challenge to the candidate.
Okay. And just another small question. I don't know if you did answer this. I don't know if it was asked, but are we allowed to like carry snacks? 3 hours is quite a long time,
When you say snacks, what do you mean by snacks? But anyway, yes, please declare it. Please declare it. I don't want you to starve and die while you're writing my exams. It's fine. Declare it.
Sorry?
I said declare it. It's fine. Declare it. I wouldn't want you to drop or to faint while writing exams. Declare it. Okay.
Okay. No, that's enough for me, man. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Rina, I see you have a question.
Hi, Ricky. Regarding virtual machine, what does it refer to?
Okay. A virtual machine is dual machine that's on your system, and that will not be allowed.
Okay, so I will know if I've got that.
You would have created it.
Okay. Okay, no, I thought it was a dumb question. Thank you so much.
No problem. Sean?
Hi, Mr. Woodley. I just wanted to check with regards to obviously having an external webcam and using a laptop. Would it be advisable or not advisable to then have a second screen on the laptop? So, for instance, the main screen is the smaller one, which is you can use for Zoom, but then you have a bigger screen.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there. That gentleman that was talking about the virtual machine, that's what it is. The system will pick it up.
during the exam, when you submit the exams, when we do the report, it'll come out as a virtual screen. It'll indicate that the candidate used a virtual machine, and we will then be forced to disqualify you and forced to give you 0.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's look for the next person. Mohammed.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mohammed.
I wanted to ask with regards to the second machine for accessing PDF documents, are we able to use an iPad or any other device, or is it strictly limited to a PC?
You can use an iPad. If it's a viewing purposes only and not accessing the camera, you need to indicate the viewing purposes only. You are required to then to declare that's for viewing purpose only and indicate by displaying on the camera that all internet access on that device is switched off.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Vincent.
Yes, hi.
Yes, Vincent.
I just wanted to find out, I think I've about 2-3 questions. You mentioned invigilators because at the beginning of the exam at 8 o'clock, we'll be given the rules and the rundown and the tests and stuff. Will we all have like one invigilator that we communicate to in case of some trouble, or is it just one invigilator for everyone, or do we all have like our own individual?
Oh, there is two invigilators, which is an online invigilator, right? You
Okay.
will communicate to us as outlined in the guidelines that we will read out during before the start of the exams through the teacher chat. And if you have explored that when you did the demo exams, you'll realize how it works. That will send a message straight to us. We will then will be in contact with you. We will not elaborate, discuss, or explain any question that's already in the question paper. If there's something that is incorrect, you can raise that on the teacher chat. We will then inquire about the validity of the question and then give you clarity on that. But to give you explanation or clarity or discuss the question, we will not do that.
Okay, that's understood. My second question is, I heard early on, I think there's a time where I also needed to quickly step out, but I heard something from the lady that's in Eastern Cape about possibly going to other offices there. Over here, I'm in Joburg. So apart from writing from home, is that the only option that we have, or is there an option that maybe I don't know of, maybe if I missed it or someone asked of us being able to go to offices if we prefer to rather go to a venue, or is it only strictly online?
When you say offices, what offices? I mean your offices?
No, as in like any SACAP hall or place where you can write the exam,
We have
strictly.
a SACAP office in Gauteng, right? If you read the
Okay.
guidelines, I think it's number 7 on the guideline. It says that candidates are allowed to come and write at the SACAP office, provided that they make prior arrangements, and you're welcome to come and write it, so that we can make the necessary resources. When we say necessary resources, I'm not talking about a device. I'm referring to a table, chair, internet access, an invigilator available for you on that day. That's what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay. So that's where the need for a secondary camera won't be necessary anymore if we go there. I think I heard someone also say that.
Yes, and also in the second office, we do have a backup generator. So in terms of load shedding, that would not be a problem. In terms of challenges that you might run into during the exams, because we are here and because the invigilation is there, you can get a quick response to that as well. And like I said, if you have multiple challenges on that day, you will have an invigilator available to assist. If you have internet access problem, with example, because at the second office, there's an IT person on call, so you will have access, and that's the advantage of writing at the second office.
Okay, I see. Okay, that's
For clarity
actually
purposes, we only have one second office, which is in Gauteng.
okay. All right.
Because I got 2 emails asking me where is the SACEP office in KZN. I don't ask where's the SACEP office in the Free State. We only have one SACEP office.
Okay. Okay. Which is basically where you are right now. I'm sure there's some hole there with around there.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, last question now.
Don't worry, don't worry. I'm not vigilating you. There'll be somebody else invigilating. So you'll be in what we refer downstairs in our training room. You'll be there with the invigilator.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much. Lastly, I've been collecting all the study material, but so far I don't seem to have the latest. Unless I never looked well, I don't seem to have the latest PROXA agreement that the gentleman, I think Mr. Kutsia was presenting. Is there? Did he? Maybe I missed it.
The PROXA document, the JBCC documents. If you again review the syllabus guideline, you'll notice that it outlines that you're required to get that from either JBCC or PROXA or from contract on demand. So those things are not freely available, unfortunately. You're required to get them from either PROXA or JBCC or contract on demand. And there is, I think they refer to it as a student edition or education edition rather. And if you get that, and it'll be a slightly less cost to the normal edition.
Okay, no chance of a free edition by any chance, but okay.
We currently don't have one. If anybody in the group that is listening to you, if they want to share that with you, they're welcome. We don't have one at SACEP.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That's all.
Elia.
Akila?
Yes, Akila.
A quick question regarding paper 2. I don't know if I missed, if someone asked it before, but are we allowed to have an empty payment certificate with us? Obviously declared and all those things, but are we allowed to have that with us for paper 2?
Blank payment certificate.
Yeah.
The correct answer to that is it's not part of the syllabus guideline or study material guidelines as outlined. Only things that are on the syllabus guidelines, study material guideline can be brought into the exam room. But nevertheless, I think when we do ask that question, there is a payment certificate that appears, a complete payment certificate, as the lady showed you on the screen.
Yeah. So I know that they will probably, so for example, there'll be an empty one in paper 2. You obviously need to answer it in a certain way, but wouldn't it be
You want a blank one to be brought into the exam room so that you can manually fill it out as you go through the questions.
Yeah,
before you
instead of referring back and forth the whole time. Excuse me?
So you want to complete it manually before you enter the answer onto the exam.net.
Yeah.
That I'll need to get clarity on, like I said. And that's the reason why I gave the answer I gave you, because I said, right, but I'll get clarity for you on that.
Okay, that's fine. I'll send you an email. That's fine.
No problem.
Thank you.
Vincent, I see you still on the line. You have a question?
Oh, no, sorry. I'll lower my hand.
Yeah. Rina?
Sorry, I also forgot to lower my hand.
Okay, no problem. Let's see what else is here now. I think we have 2 hands here, Eric and Eric.
Hi, this is Eric Justice here. I just want to know if I'm writing the exams and I've got one computer device, can I share that with 2 screens or must it be 2 separate devices?
I think I just answered that. I said 2 screens will be seen as a what's the word now?
Virtual.
Yeah, yes. And this is the exam.net will record it accordingly. And when we pull out the report, it will declare that and then we'll be forced to give you 0.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. Next one, next person.
Mr. Moodley, can you hear me?
Can hear you?
Just a quick question regards to if your computer shows up any pop-up messages, you know, most computers show them, and you click on that to close it or whatever, will that also kick you out of the exam?
Yes. So please disactivate any pop-ups because that will cause unnecessary delays in your exams. Because as soon as you click on that, ultimately what exam.net picks up is that you have clicked outside the exam.net screen, and then it'll log you out and give you 30 seconds to explain. And if you do that multiple times, you lose 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, you're going to lose quite a lot of time, and that's going to be frustrating as well as the loss of time. So please disactivate your pop-ups.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anybody else? I see Rowan, I see
Hi,
Eddie,
Mr.
still
Muti.
on.
Hi,
Yes.
so Rowan, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I just want to explain my setup. So I know with what you said about don't take the risk of having anything else with the pop-ups and everything on the exam that you're writing. So my idea is I have a desktop that will have the internet and the exam will be only on that. Then I'll have a laptop that I'm doing the PDF searches on, which will be offline, but then my entire space will be recorded by a tablet. Now, it won't be a mobile webcam, but I suppose if I log into Zoom and it's only showing the Zoom or the camera through the Zoom, then that's also fine.
If I'm understanding you clearly, you want to utilize your tablet as your external webcam and
Yes.
utilize that for the
And
purpose
the Zoom.
of monitoring. Yes.
Yes.
That is 100% correct. That's fine. That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so that's 3 devices, but that's the safest way of not accidentally making the AI think I'm cheating.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Hi, Ricky. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Just 2 questions. Are we going to have a similar session as this tomorrow after the webinar, like this questions and answers? And then if I haven't, do we need to book or RSVP or whatever if we want to go to write the exam in person?
You mean at the second office?
Yeah.
Yes, you have to. The guideline states that you're required to send a notice 1 month in advance, right? But considering that some of you sound already like you guys are panicking, so I will accept your request. So please give it to me by today or tomorrow. Then I can obviously make the necessary arrangements so that you can have a table, a chair, and internet access. I don't want to cater for 5 people and tomorrow 10 people pitch up and I get 5 unhappy people whereby the devices are not there or the table is not ready or whatever the case may be. So we can set up properly and make sure that you're properly supervised at the second office. So if you have that and it's last minute request, please send me the request.
Okay, and then my other question was, are we going to have this session again tomorrow?
Okay. Would you like to have this question answer session to get clarity?
Well, it's been very useful, yes.
I assume after you guys go through what we discussed now and the answers I gave you and the response I gave you, you all will go visit the system and check what I said was correct or not. And then tomorrow I have 50 more million questions for me. And the answer is yes.
All right. It's just that some people missed today because of whatever reason.
That's fine. Because I think if you guys get clarity on what's concerning you guys, that clarity then will allow you guys to perform way better in the exam rather than you guys stressing over small things that could have been eliminated by asking the right question. Okay. I think anybody else got any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yes.
Just regarding the study material, it doesn't state that any SACAP guidelines or guide may be used. Is that still applicable regarding that we only received the SACAP guide later on before everything was submitted or stated previously that only the set materials that we may use, or can we still use the SACAP guide in the exam?
You talking about the guide utilized for this workshop?
Yes.
The guide utilized for this workshop is not on the syllabus guideline.
Yes. So we may not use it. Do I understand that
Yes.
correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I was just wanted confirmation.
Okay, no problem. Anybody else?
Hi, Ricky, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, firstly, thank you for today. My question is, if we do optical right at the SACAP offices, will a device be available, like a computer, or do we need to bring our own PCs? Sorry, I'm not quite sure if I missed that part.
Yeah, I did answer the question, but for your clarity and for your purpose, you are required to bring your own device and all materials that you need to refer to in line with what we discussed in the syllabus guideline, cybersecurity guideline. SACAP will provide you with a table, chair, internet access, and an invigilator for the duration of the exams.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Anybody else? I see.
Hi, Ricky.
Yes.
Yeah, so if we go into SACAP, it's still going to be using Exam Connect, same thing.
Yes. It doesn't matter where you write, whether exam office or not, you're gonna be right on exam.net.
Okay.
You will utilize the camera. You'll utilize the monitoring tools that we put in place. So all that will still be applicable. Just like I said, the benefit of coming to the office would be the fact that you have direct access to the fact that we have a generator, so uninterrupted internet access. You have direct access to something goes wrong to our IT technicians and so forth. That's the only difference compared to you being by yourself and panicking if you encounter any challenges.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? And I see Anna's hand has been up, but we haven't had comment from her. Yeah. Anybody got any other questions? Thank you for the session and of attending. Hopefully we see you tomorrow and good luck in the exams. Guys, please make sure that you attend tomorrow's session, as tomorrow's session is paper 1 and we're going to go detailed into the calculations, and candidates to date have not got the calculations right. So I advise all candidates to please attend tomorrow's session so that you can get an opportunity to thoroughly understand how calculation works and hopefully score as much marks as possible, because if memory serves me correct, calculations in paper 1 carries around about 30 to 35 marks, which is quite a lot of marks for you to lose. Right? So please, all sections taught today, all sections that will be taught tomorrow is areas where candidates have performed poorly, and that's the purpose of this workshop, is to assist candidates in areas that we identified candidates who have performed poorly, and hopefully assist you in ensuring that that does not happen in the current exams, and hopefully you benefit from this process. Yeah, thank you. I see we've got a hand up here.
Yes, sorry, Mr. Moodley. Just on that, with the whole blank paper thing that we discussed for paper 2, that would, I suppose, for paper 1, where we're not allowed to have anything, we can bring a blank piece just to help maybe with fee calculations and putting down your percentages and so on. As long as it's blank, paper 1.
You are allowed to, okay, if you work on exam.net, you see there's a calculator there, right? So you cannot access the calculator on your laptop because the system will not allow you. Exam.net has got a calculator of its own. You can utilize that online calculator. If you feel that you need to have a blank page and your own physical calculator, you are allowed to do so, please declare it.
Okay.
You
All right,
bring a
that's fine.
page, a pen, and a calculator, because obviously we understand that you're doing calculations and you'll probably want to
Yes.
calculate something prior to you entering it. With all due respect, you can welcome to bring it. Please declare it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions before we close? I think our question and answer session lasted longer than the entire workshop. Thank you, and hopefully this has been a great help to you. Okay. Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Good luck.
Bye.
Good luck.